What's up, Dallas? My dude. Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's crack-a-lagging, nigga. Negro. Notification came up on my phone. Right on. Notify my peeps. Second with the thumb. Phoebe, Marion, welcome back. Good to see y'all. What's new and good in the hood? What the hell? The return of Flo. What the hell? Phoebe's talking in code again. All right, I'm going to try this. Oh, yeah, Florence, yeah. I forgot that was the name of the thing. Sorry, I'm stuffing my face. My dinner just got done. I'm streaming. What's up, Joseph? Everybody said hi, Pops. God, I love slow cooker food, man. What's up, Southern Belle? Good to see you. All right. So, for those of my regular customers, they're working perfect, Phoebe. They're wonderful. Between those pills and the and he's on Kratom now. And between those two things, he's been sleeping. He's been walking around the house. He gets up out of his chair easier now. He doesn't have like huge problems moving around and shit. I'm extremely happy with it. Yeah. Will do, Phoebe. I'm gonna try to handle the next bottle by myself, but I will keep that in mind. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Bongino.
Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
All right, welcome to the Dan Bongino Show. Producer Joe, how are you today?
Daddy-O, where do we start?
I don't know.
Start?
Yeah, it's been a really insane news weekend. It's the times I regret on Monday that we're not here on the weekends, but I do have to spend some time with my family. So, the Kavanaugh situation, I want to get to that. More breaking news on the Mueller probe entirely falling apart now. Lisa Page coming out with some explosive new information in a John Solomon piece.
Yeah.
And also some myth that will debunk some myths on this on the show today, too. I'm hearing a lot of this stuff about climate change, and this is the kind of stuff that I think we need to understand some of the data here and understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But I got to get to Kavanaugh first because, ladies and gentlemen, a dangerous precedent's being set, and this precedent's being set for future Republican nominees and future Republican administrations. And if it's allowed to stand, there will be no governing in the future. It's ironic how they continually debunk the fact that there's some kind of a deep state or whatever you want to call it, a steady state, a sloppy state, a stupid state. I don't care what you call it. And yet this strategy of embedding deep state folks, and then when it comes to administration nominees, destroying them and digging back into their lives for things. This is a double-pronged strategy that is not going to work out well if the Republicans don't fight. All right, let's get right to it. Today's show brought to you by our buddies at WaxRx. You all know how much I love my sponsors. I only work with companies I believe in, have a product or service that could be useful to you. And
I caught it. Of course, I about threw my dinner plate on the floor trying to catch the commercial. I should probably not be eating while I'm doing this. But I'm almost done, so I'm just going to smash it.
to my stubborn, hardened.
Oh, nice, Deborah. Right on.
Some of that WaxRx.
All right.
Update over the weekend. The woman who's, and in case you're wondering, by the way, why Friday's show was a little shorter than others. Friday's show was about 53 minutes. I want to address this because it relates directly to the Kavanaugh topic, folks. Friday, Joe and I covered it. Some news broke afterwards, and I am not, I do facts, okay? And the news that broke afterwards is that the allegation was a little more serious than we had initially heard. I asked Joe, I said, if you can take that out, let's take it out, even though the show will be a little shorter, because I want to hear what comes out. I'm open to hearing anything. Listen, if it turned out that the guy was some kind of a sexual deviant, then I want to know about it like anyone else.
Right.
Now that we've had a chance to get the name, to hear the charges, and to hear all available information, ladies and gentlemen, I've become more convinced that this case, that Kavanaugh needs to go forward, needs to be confirmed. Let me tell you why. Number one, this tactic here by the Democrats is very disturbing. It's setting an impossible standard for anyone involved in the conservative movement, appointees, politicians, anyone else, while holding almost no standards whatsoever for their side. What do I mean? Let's say this incident, let's stipulate for a second that these allegations are true. The guy was 17 years old. No one reported it to police at the time. There's no allegation of a crime. The woman apparently never confronted him about it. From that point on, he had been through multiple investigations, multiple times. And ladies and gentlemen, people do a lot of dumb stuff when they're in their teens. That's assuming the charge is true. Which, by the way, Kavanaugh, who's entitled to his say as well, this is still a country where you're innocent until proven guilty, categorically denies this allegation, as does the person who's alleged to have been there and seen it, which I find odd. According to the allegation, there were 3 people present when Kavanaugh supposedly tried to take off an article of this woman's clothing, right? Supposedly there were 3 people present. The other person there says it didn't happen. Kavanaugh says it didn't happen. The woman says it happened, but never followed up, never did anything about it. The guy was 17. He's 53 right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Ellison, who is the deputy chair of the DNC, has credible allegations against him not very long ago about physical and emotional abuse by his girlfriend. And yet Keith Ellison, there's no widespread call by the Democrats to have this guy step down. He's the deputy chair of the DNC.
I forgot about that.
Now, again, some of you may say, what aboutism? What is his whataboutism? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
What are the rules? Ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to continue as a constitutional republic, we have to have a set of rules for public life that both sides recognize and abide by. What are the rules? Are the rules that allegations are enough to sideline your career and you have to step aside? Ladies and gentlemen, if that's the case, right, that an allegation is enough, let me ask you a very simple question. What's to stop anybody from any party if allegations, not proof, if allegations are enough to sideline a Supreme Court justice and a politician, right? If allegations are enough, what is to stop your political opponent from shutting down your career by simply getting someone to make an allegation that may or not be true, may or may not be true? What's to stop that? Have we thought any of this through? Now, you may say, well, Dan, what do you mean this is a new strategy? Folks, where have we seen this recently? Put your thinking caps on for a minute. Where have we seen this strategy where unfounded allegations from the past that are unproven, they are not, I should say unproven. They're unproven allegations from the past resurface. Where have we seen this recently? Does the Jim Jordan case ring a bell?
Oh!
So you have Jim Jordan running to be speaker now.
Yeah.
A supremely qualified, morally upstanding individual with an impeccable conservative record in Congress. A good and decent man, a guy I personally interviewed with when I was running for office and I mean this in a good way, was shocked at his adherence to principles because I'd interviewed with so many politicians in the past and they seemed almost mercenary. He was asking me questions about the pro-life movement. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm like, wow, a politician that's actually pro-life. Like, it was stunning. Mm-hmm. Where have we seen this before? Jim Jordan. Folks, this is the new Democrat tactic. The new Democrat tactic is going to be to find someone from your past to make allegations that are nearly impossible for the target of those allegations to put down and disprove. It's impossible. Jim Jordan has multiple people saying, that's not the Jim Jordan we know. This doesn't make any sense, right? Jim Jordan, it was alleged he knew about some abuse that was going on when he was a wrestling coach
right.
at this college.
Right.
Multiple people come out and say that's not true. He did not know about this, and if he did, he would have done something. Multiple people. So Jordan has just as much strong evidence on his side that he was in no way did he know about this, and yet that's totally disregarded because the media is on the Democrat side. Now, you're going to see this strong media push, and I'm getting wind about what's going on right now. I'll give you kind of some inside baseball about what's going on up on the Hill. But the media, of course, that's on the side of the Democrat Party jumps on board, Joe, and what do they do right away? They continue to advance these allegations as if they're automatically assumed to be true. While Democrats like Keith Ellison, with similar, I would argue, worse allegations. Remember, Joe, these allegations are when Kavanaugh was a kid.
Right, yeah.
Ellison, though, these allegations are serious. Physical and emotional abuse by his physical abuse. These are serious allegations. Yet nobody on the Democrat Party or the media is calling for a mass resignation or is this being covered nearly to the extent this guy's the deputy chair of the DNC that these Kavanaugh charges are. Now, on the inside baseball note, this is why folks, we should not cave on this, okay? If we cave on this, it is going to set an impossible standard in the future. The left figures out these tactics. They learn from them. They will use them repeatedly. It will be to dredge up an allegation from the past that can't possibly be disproven, which just can't. It's a he said, she said. Folks, there's no way around it. And the other guy there says it didn't happen. That's it. Well, she took a polygraph. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, a polygraph. For those of you arguing about the polygraph, let me just tell you something quick about the polygraph. I was not a trained polygrapher, but I know many people who are. I'm familiar with the program. I know how it works. A polygraph test is not a lie detector test. That's why professionals call it a polygraph test and not a lie detector. Why? It does not detect lies. It detects physiological signs of possible and potential deception. blood pressure changes, changes in your heart rate, changes in your heart rate, changes in your breathing rate by measuring pressure on your diaphragm. That's what it does. A trained polygrapher is more of a skilled interviewer, and he's relying more on his interview skills than he is the tools. The tools just measure physiological changes to what could be potential deception. Polygraphs are not admissible in court because they don't detect lies. They detect the skill of the interview. If you don't know that, I'm sorry, but people saying, oh, she took a polygraph, I'm sorry, folks, means less than nothing to me. And people saying, well, Kavanaugh should take a polygraph. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a total setup. I told you this is nothing more than an interview with basic physiological tools that can be mislead interviewers for all kinds of reasons. People are nervous. People are not nervous. People take beta blockers or whatever it may be. Folks, these tests are wrong all the time. I'm sorry. They're nothing more than tools. I can't tell you how many times applicants for the Secret Service take a polygraph that's, quote, inconclusive. They come back a few weeks later and they pass with flying colors. Well, I thought it was a lie detector. How'd they not know if he was lying? Because it's not a lie detector. Did you know this, Joe? Mm-hmm. All it detects is, I don't want to go into any classified stuff, but just so you understand, ladies and gentlemen, and have an idea of what a polygraph does, they get a basic physiological measure of what a lie would look like. Well, how do I get Joe to lie? I ask him a question, and I know he's going to lie to it. In other words, I'm giving you a test, Joe, for a bank job, and I need you to take a polygraph. I say to Joe something like, hey, Joe, when you were in high school, did you ever cheat on a test? Now, I have a pretty good inkling. This is why it's not a lie detector, Joe, and it's based on the skill of the interview. I don't know, but I have a pretty good inkling. The answer for most people, I don't know with you, I shouldn't put you on, but the answer is probably yes. You probably did. At some point, you probably cheated on a test.
My answer was blue.
But right. Like, you know what? Right. Or if I ask you, did you ever lie to your parents? The answer is obviously yes. But most people on a lie detector test think the answer should be no, or they're going to fail. You get what I'm saying? Like, did you cheat on a test? No. The truth is, the guy in a polygraph doesn't really care if you cheated on a test. He's trying to get your measure of what a lie looks like in your physiological response. And then later on, they make comparisons. How they do it, I'm not going to get into. But that's how it works. But it's all open to interpretation. I bring that up because that's going to be their next push. Now, the inside baseball, though, is this. Who's there again, Joe, to rescue the Democrats? Because he's a horror show, and I cannot thank him more for stepping aside, because he is possibly one of the worst Republican senators I've ever seen in the history of the movement. Jeff Flake, who is now stepping out, and what I'm hearing is Flake is a allegedly Republican, so he should take a lie detector from Arizona. He is stepping aside, thankfully, because he's awful. He's not running for re-election. And Flake is saying now, I think we need to delay this Kavanaugh vote. No, we don't, ladies and gentlemen, because there's nothing that's going... Joe, do you understand? There is nothing that's going to add to this. It is a he said, she said. By all means, let this woman be heard. Let her air her charges. I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh has already stated on his side it didn't happen. Kavanaugh has a letter from something like 65 women he went to school with at that time and said this is in no way indicative of his behavior. There have been no known character defects after that, Joe. There's no history of this. There's no history with anyone he knows. Ladies and gentlemen, when you balance the body of evidence pro-Kavanaugh for the anti-Kavanaugh, for me, the pro-Kavanaugh wins hands down.
Show me what you got.
And you don't got much. All you've got are charges that can't possibly be proven. Be heard, fine. But delaying the hearing? Absolutely not. The vote is scheduled for Thursday. The vote should go right ahead. The Democrats, Feinstein, have had this information from July. Now, forgive me, I keep dancing around, but the inside baseball is that Flake, who hates Trump, and frankly at this point seems to hate the Republican Party too, and may be preparing for a 2020 run for president. Don't let that go.
Oh,
Flake is acting as a front man for this to basically cater to Democrat votes and what they believe are anti-Trump Republicans to set himself up a little bit, and that Flake may also be the one who comes out, because if they lose Flake, they're in a lot of trouble. If they lose a Flake and one Democrat, it's over, right? Excuse me. They lose Flake and one more Republican. It's over. So because of Mike Pence. So they be in a lot of trouble, right? So what's happening here is supposedly Collins and Murkowski are interested in possibly slowing this vote down too, but they don't want to come out yet and say it. So what they're coming out with is like, hey, Jeff, you do it. And then if we can get a couple more, the Democrats to fold on this thing, maybe the red state Democrats, then maybe I'll come out and run a little more cover. And then they'll vote no, too. So there's a little constituency behind the scenes of basically anti-Trump Republicans in the Murkowski-Collins-Flake coalition that really probably want to see this thing sidelined a little bit so they can kind of cozy up to their moderate Democrat base. That's what I'm hearing. But, folks, if we let this happen, it will set an impossible standard, folks. The standard going forward will be any unproven allegation from any point in your past. I mean, we'll be down to boyhood next. He was a teenager, Kavanaugh. We'll be down to, like, hey, at 6 years old, this guy, he kicked his neighbor's kid off of Hot Wheels. Oh, my gosh, we need to sideline this. It will set an impossible standard for Republicans while allowing Democrats a complete pass because the media they're just part of the Democrat Party. The media are nothing. Please stop telling me about the media. I don't want to hear it. The media is not a serious entity anymore. The mainstream media is a joke. They are propagandists for the Democrat Party, nothing more. I love a free press. They're free to be stupid. They take us up on it all the time. I'm not suggesting any government intervention in the press, but I'm telling you, completely disregard these loons. They are 100% on the side of sidelining this. They understand fully there is absolutely no way these allegations will be proven. None. It'll be a he said, she said, with no evidence in the future that there was any kind of a character defect at all in Kavanaugh. None. There is no corroborating evidence to this at all. None. Zero. None. Even liberal women that worked for Kavanaugh are saying he was a great guy. So now, I just want to be clear, because I want to wrap this up. I got to move on to something else, because it shows that this is not going to stop here, folks. They're setting this standard for the Republicans. The standard will be any unfounded, unproven allegation, any point in the past is enough to get these people sidelined. If it works once, they will do it again. Point number 2, the Democrats are not subjected to this, as evidenced, obviously, by Keith Ellison still sitting in his chair, despite very serious allegations now. That Democrats will get a free pass, the Republicans won't. Now, having said that, Axios has a report out now. They have some good sources. Axios has a report out now, Joe, that insider Republicans are saying, and this is a warning to the Democrats. And again, I'm not suggesting Kavanaugh should be sidelined. I just told you we need to go forward or this standard will set in and it'll be over. If he's sidelined and Jeff Flake gets his way here and Flake sidelines this thing and it winds up resulting in Kavanaugh withdrawing, then Trump needs to double down stat and nominate someone even more conservative than Kavanaugh. Because we got to start teaching these Democrats a lesson up there too, folks. They keep getting over, and the Republicans keep allowing it to happen. Amy Barrett sitting on the sidelines right now. We should not give up on Kavanaugh at all. I want to be crystal clear. But if the votes don't present themselves because people start to bail, like Flake, I mean, was there ever in a lifetime a last name more apropos to the character of a senator? By the way, Flake. If Flake flakes, then we send up someone more conservative. But I'll tell you, it'd be a real shame if that happened to Kavanaugh. He wasn't my first choice. Honestly, he wasn't my second choice. But I think it's clear as day this was a good man. And what's happening to him is disgusting. Now, one more story, and I'd like to kind of pull these stories out of the conservative content ecosystem because they're important and it relates to this strategy the Democrats now have of nonstop 24/7, 365 obstruction and destruction. Obstruction of the Trump agenda, destruction of anybody they put forward, right? This is what they're going to continue to do. They had an NLRB rule. This is important. This is not a small story. The National Labor Relations Board under Obama passed this rule called the Joint Employer Standard. It's basically a way to sideline franchises and make sure that these franchises have to unionize all their employees in one fell swoop. It's a way of private unionization, which has been going down forever in the free market. Public unions have stayed relatively stable while private unionization in the free market's gone down, Joe. The Obama administration, of course, in the pocket of labor unions, wanted to reinstitute a robust private union membership in the United States, despite the fact that American employees are renouncing unions. They just don't want to be part of them. You're seeing right to work grow, even though Missouri was a bit of a setback. But what happened is Obama instituted this rule, the Obama National Labor Relations Board, called the Joint Employer Standard. And what it meant was, whereas say each individual McDonald's franchise in the past, Joe, was an individual identity, the joint employer rule would mean if there was even indirect control by some big umbrella company, all of them could be unionized at once. And think about it. If you're trying to unionize 50,000 McDonald's employees, what better way to do it? Do you want to go to each individual McDonald's restaurant? No, hell no. What do you want to do? You want to do it all in one fell swoop and force it on McDonald's, the parent company, and get them all unionized at once. You see the point, folks? It's simple. Yeah. Why go to each restaurant if you can hammer the big company and make it all filter down, right? Now, the Trump administration reversed this. Now, in a Highland decision, that's all been put on hold because what did the Democrats do again? Obstruction and destruction. They went after one of Trump's appointees on the NLRB, this guy, Bill Emanuel, because he worked for a law firm that was involved in the case years ago. And they demanded a recusal, which sadly the Republicans acquiesced on. He recused himself from the case, and now this thing is on hold. Amazingly. Now, does that standard apply to the Democrats? Hell no. Of course it doesn't. Obama's appointee, Craig Becker, who was an actual labor lawyer who represented the SEIU, Service Employees International Union, who was involved in multiple cases, he never recused himself. Folks, obstruction and destruction. This is what they're all about now, folks. They're going to obstruct the agenda. They are going to weaponize recusals now. And by the way, they filed an ethics complaint against this guy, Emanuel, to get him to recuse himself, even though the lawyer for the NLRB said he didn't have to. These are not small stories, folks. If you get through, they will file ethics complaints. They will attack you. The gist of this whole segment I'm doing on the show here today, and I waited for the information to come in. I even had a sideline. Joe and I stewed on this because I don't like producing less than an hour of good content for you. We use very, very little commercials. Our commercials average 6 minutes a show. That's 1/10 of the whole show is commercial. I want to give you a solid 50-plus minutes of conservative content. I deleted 8 minutes because I did not have the facts, and when I don't, I will not put it on my show. We have the facts now. We know what happened with Kavanaugh. We have one side story. We have another side story. We have one side story on the Kavanaugh story backed up by years and years of character testimonials of a person who was there who said it didn't happen. We have another side story who says, I've taken a polygraph. I have a lawyer. The answer is what? The answer is, folks, there will be no answer. This is not about getting to an answer for the Democrats. Make no mistake. It is about setting an impossible standard for past character conduct no human being on the planet will measure up to as a way to sideline any potential GOP nominee for anything in the past. It doesn't matter who they throw up there for that Supreme Court seat. These character assassination attempts will never stop. And when they appoint you, like they did Emanuel on the NLRB, in order to stop the Trump agenda, they'll file an ethics complaint when they're there and shut you down. Joe, where did that happen before? So, on Kavanaugh, I gave you an example. Kavanaugh, I said, hey, where did this happen? These accusers. Jim Jordan. This is what they did. They're trying to do to Jordan. It's not going to work. Where did this happen before with an ethics complaint? Who up in Congress was working pretty hard on this Spygate operation, uncovering all this stuff? All of a sudden, an ethics complaint appears out of nowhere. Oh, Devin Nunes. Yeah, that happened to him too. Remember that one? Yeah, the ethics complaint against Nunes? Folks, this is not new. This is a pattern. When you see a pattern, this is why I do this show, to flesh out for you that these are not random incidents. This attack on Kavanaugh was thought out. How they were going to do it was thought out. Oh, Dan, you have no evidence. That's sure I do. This material surfaced in July. It's September. Dianne Feinstein had this in July. Why did they wait till the last minute? I thought it was serious. Apparently, it wasn't serious enough for Dianne Feinstein to tell anybody. Boom. Oh, the victim wanted anonymity. She did? Because she's out there doing interviews now. Should she be heard? Let her be heard, of course. Kavanaugh deserves to be heard, too. And I believe the overwhelming weight of Kavanaugh's evidence suggests that, listen, if it happened, he made a big mistake. But the overwhelming evidence about the character of this guy is almost exclusively on a pro-Kavanaugh front. Folks, if this guy goes down, we are going to be in big, big trouble. This will set an absolutely impossible standard in the future going forward for any Trump nominee. Oh man, I can't believe it! I'm telling you, I feel like we're living in that Seinfeld episode. You know, where George does everything backwards.
It's kind of freaking me out, man. I mean, this whole thing is,
because we can't have a functioning government like this anymore, folks. We can't. We're the Democrats. You got a deputy party chair accused of physically abusing his government. And listen, unlike the Democrats, the guy deserves his day in court too.
Yeah.
I don't like Keith Ellison. I like almost nothing this guy stands for. But he deserves his day in court, too. If he's guilty, he's guilty. He needs to go. But the Democrats, no, listen, we should all assume this is true. But meanwhile, there's no evidence in this guy's history of character that this is the way Kavanaugh is. None. All right, we got a lot more breaking news. By the way, Spygate stuff went absolutely crazy this weekend. John Solomon, what do I keep telling you about Solomon? What do I keep telling you about Solomon and The Hill? No, who writes for The Hill, and I have all these stories in the show notes. Please check him out. He knows everything. I'm telling you, he knows everything. He knows the whole thing. He's seeping it out slowly but surely. If you're not reading his stuff, you're missing out. Okay. Today's show also brought to you by our buddies at iTarget. iTarget is the best system out there, hands down, for increasing your proficiency.
John Solomon is awesome. Him and that chick. What's her name? Ahoy, oddball. Welcome back, man. Good to see you. Did a small Dollar Tree haul the other day. Next year, going to get back into doing a couple shows. Okay. What kind of shows? Oh, okay. Yeah, right on.
I fire him.
Craft shows are cool. I hear you, Tanya.
Quickly. iTarget Pro.
Gee whiz, these are long commercials. They'd probably just seem longer than they are. Just got booted off YouTube.
Testimony in May 2017 up on the Hill. Lisa Page was the FBI lawyer involved with both the Clinton case and the Trump investigation, and was also involved in a extramarital relationship with Peter Strzok, who was the lead FBI investigator in this case. Most of you already know that. Some don't. It's just important to set that up. During her testimony, she says something absolutely stunning that just leaked out. And when I say stunning, I mean it. I mean, like, jaw drops to the floor, and how, again, this isn't breaking news across the country is only a reflection of the fact that the Democrat media is a complete joke and is all in on the propaganda front. Joe, have you heard this?
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
You go, what's okay? So Solomon reports this. Mm-hmm. When she was questioned, Lisa Page, about why. Excuse me, I said May 2017. This is her recent testimony. It was about the May 2017. But when Bob Mueller was being named as a special prosecutor, there's a text exchange between her and Strzok about, there's no there kind of stuff. And they said to her, listen, you were the FBI lawyer intimately involved in this case. They asked her about the Mueller probe. She said, quote, the uncertainty about the level of evidence in the Trump case was, quote, a reflection of us still not knowing. Now, Solomon says this right. Folks, please don't let the monotonous tone of that, this is huge. And Solomon gets it. It goes on. There's another quote in a minute. Solomon says, with that statement, Page acknowledged a momentous fact. After 9 months, Joe, of using some of the most awesome surveillance powers afforded to U.S. intelligence, the FBI still had not made a case connecting Trump or his campaign to Russia's election meddling. Here, it gets even better. Well, by the way, what have we been telling you the whole time? That this case is complete junk? Page opined further, Joe, acknowledging. This is incredible. Listen to this quote. This is Lisa Page's own under oath testimony up on the Hill. It still existed in the scope of possibility that there would be, quote, literally nothing to connect Trump and Russia, no matter what Mueller or the FBI did.
Oh!
That there would be, it ends at literally nothing. The possibility that there would be literally nothing.
Oh.
Folks, we have a special, you believe this, Joe? We have a special counsel appointed now to investigate a sitting president and his team for a collusion event with Russia that she says it's a reflection of us still not knowing. What do you mean not knowing? We have a special counsel and you have no idea if this even happened? Also, she says that there's a good possibility this was literally nothing. So let's just recap where we are in this case to see how disgusting the abuses have been here on this Trump administration. Here's what we now know. We know the case was started based on the dossier. Jim Comey, the FBI director, has claimed, and it's public, that the dossier was salacious and unverified. The anti-Trump dossier. We now know the number 2 in the FBI, Andy McCabe, acknowledged to congressional investigators and Senate investigators. Andy McCabe has acknowledged that there would be no probable cause in the case without the dossier. So just so we're clear, nearly the entire body of evidence to support this collusion fairy tale was based on this fake dossier. Comey says it's salacious and unverified. McCabe says we'd have no case without it. The guy under McCabe, Bill Priestep, when asked about it when they started the Trump investigation, said, well, its verification was, quote, in its infancy. They had not even begun to verify this thing at a serious level, despite the fact that the Woods procedures for verification require that before it goes to the FISA court. We now have Peter Strzok, the lead investigator who works under Priestep. We have the lead investigator, Joe, in Peter Strzok saying, hey, there's no there in the case. That's what Page was asked about in her testimony. Hey, did you guys say there's no there in the case? And now we have the FBI lawyer working with Strzok on the case, Joe, saying, quote, it could be literally nothing, and it's a reflection of us still not knowing. You think you may want to know before you start the most important, critical counterintelligence investigation on a sitting president and a special counsel probe in modern U.S. history? You think you may want to figure that out first? Ladies and gentlemen, this Mueller probe is a complete, utter farce, as I have told you from the beginning. And, you know, I have to tell you, I'm not one of these guys. Joe, you know this industry better than anyone. You've been in it for decades now. Content theft is a pretty common thing, right? Now, I attribute my stuff. You know that. I've attributed to Jeff Carlson, Lee Smith, the Conservative Treehouse guys. When I get something from a source that's not mine, I attribute it, and I'm proud to. There's nothing wrong with people out there doing hard work and you citing it. What really bothers me is when people take my stuff and never acknowledge it at all. I'm not going to say who, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
People, right? Because we listen. There's finally people starting to come around to the fact that the Mueller probe's sole purpose right now is not to investigate collusion. It's to keep the attention on Trump team members. Indictments, whatever. By the way, indictments that have nothing to do with collusion at all. To keep the attention away from the fact that there is no there. You see what I'm getting at? Mueller knows there's no collusion. Inside sources are reporting all over the place that Mueller's already given up on collusion. Matter of fact, they're likely giving up on obstruction too. That their sole goal now is to keep the political heat through the election on Donald Trump, knowing collusion's fake. They're going to issue some report later that will be used for impeachment, which it shouldn't be. These should be about legal charges only, as Andy McCarthy indicates. And that's the new purpose. So purpose number 1 was collusion. Mueller quickly figured out that was garbage, right? Second, it was obstruction. That's going nowhere either. Donald Trump asked the FBI to investigate people if there was any allegations of Russian collusion on his team. That's already on the record. So that's dead in the water. The sole purpose of the Mueller probe now, keep the heat on Trump, issue a report. Ladies and gentlemen, this report is going to be critical. It is not going to be a legal law enforcement report, which is what it should be, Joe. It is going to be a report documenting charges that the Democrats can use for impeachment later on. That's Mueller's goal now.
Right.
Take it to the bank, folks. Cash that check, spend that money. I'm telling you what I'm telling you is true. The Democrats are eagerly awaiting after this election when they take over the House of Representatives. That's why Mueller's waiting. They're waiting for a new report on Democrat they can use to bring up as evidence in an impeachment trial in the Senate against Donald Trump. I'm telling you, take it to the bank.
I got that Nunez cut. Did you forget about that?
I'm getting to that. Yeah. I haven't even got to that yet because I have it right. That's next because I have one more thing.
Okay.
Also, let's see what happens with Greg Craig. Now, if you're a regular listener to this show, you remember. I know a lot of other listeners may not. I addressed this in a show about 4 or 5 months ago. I had some good sources on this one too. Manafort, remember his campaign manager is now going to apparently cooperate with the Mueller probe. The liberals are celebrating. Ladies and gentlemen, don't celebrate so fast on this one. If you actually listen to what Manafort's lawyer said, he was clear as day that all of the stuff that they're playing to happened before he joined the Trump team. Again, in some circles of common sense, you would call that a clue. Now, Manafort's agreeing to cooperate. Who is Manafort working with on the charges that he's involved with now? The charges he's being charged with are for Foreign Agent Registration Act, failures to... Basically, he was lobbying on behalf of Ukrainian officials and was not properly filed, right?
Right.
Manafort. Who was working with him on that deal? Oh, Greg Craig. Greg Craig. Where does that name sound familiar? That was Obama's old lawyer, wasn't it? Crazy how that happens. Now, folks, this is going to be the test for Mueller. If I'm proven wrong, then good. Please prove, for the sake of the Republic, prove me wrong. Bob Mueller, if Manafort's really cooperating, then Tony Podesta and Greg Craig have a whole lot to worry about. Because Greg Craig, Obama's former lawyer, was working at that law firm, Skadden Arps, that was working with Manafort on this lobbying effort for Ukrainian officials. They were putting together reports. Greg Craig has since left that law firm. What I'm telling you is Manafort is probably providing information. Here's where I'm going with this. That is very, very bad for both Tony Podesta and Greg Craig. Greg Craig was Obama's former lawyer working at that company, and lobbying was being done by Manafort. Remember, the same thing he's being accused of, unauthorized, illicit lobbying. The same kind of operation, the allegations were being conducted by Tony Podesta as well. Tony Podesta, John Podesta, Hillary's consigliere there, that's his brother. If there are no charges against Podesta and Greg Craig, none, or no further investigation at all by the Mueller team, you can take it to the bank that what I told you was absolutely categorically true, that Mueller has zero interest whatsoever in doing in moving forward with anything on the Democrat side. He's only trying to keep the heat on Trump. I'm saying it because we know now Manafort's willing to cooperate. And if you're going to charge Manafort with FARA violations, Foreign Agent Registration Act violations, then you darn well better investigate the other two as well. Let's see where he goes with that. And let's see what they get charged with. Remember, Manafort had, 18 charges in the first trial? Yeah. Another couple more in Washington, D.C., this trial he just avoided by pleading. Mm-hmm. Let's see what these other two were charged with in that investigation. If they get off, folks, you know what I'm telling you is true. That Mueller's goal is, at this point, appears entirely unethical. Keep the heat on Trump and Trump's team. Avoid any perception of malfeasance by the Democrats, the Democrat DOJ under the Obama administration, and the FBI. Disgusting. Just filthy, disgusting stuff. Okay. I was glad you told me about Nunez. I was going to use me when I get lost in a topic.
Yeah, I got you.
We have more breaking news here over the weekend. Chuck Ross at the Daily Caller, again, a guy doing really great work. I have his piece up at the show notes today at Bongino.com. Please read it. Please read the John Solomon piece. This is a momentous break. The Lisa Page acknowledgement that they may have had literally nothing to start the Mueller probe. Another break in the case comes from Peter Strzok. We now have a new text. Let me read the text rather than summarizing. I'll just read it direct. January 10th, 2017 series of texts. I'm sitting with Bill watching CNN. We're assuming he's talking about Bill Priestep, the guy I just told you about, his boss. Sitting with Bill watching CNN. A ton more out. Stroke, a former FBI counterintelligence official, texted to Lisa Page on January 10, 2017. Listen to this kicker. I'm going to tell you why this January 10, 2017 thing is important. Hey, let me know when you can talk. We're discussing whether, now that this is out, what is this, by the way? We will use it as a pretext to go interview some people. Do you understand the swamp of corruption we're looking at here? What happened in January of 2017, folks? They're going to use it as a pretext to go interview people. Joe, if you're a criminal investigator, not a trick question, right? Say you put yourself in the FBI shoes. If you're going to go interview someone for a potential crime you think they have committed, what would lead you to go and interview someone? Let me just make it simpler for you. Do you pick out the phone book and randomly interview people?
No.
No, you don't do that. Okay, I'm being intentionally dumb here because, again, liberals are still trying to play down. Now they're like, I'm not sure what the word is. They're doing the Clinton thing. Tell me what the word is means. They're trying to redefine what pretext is. A pretext is a reason.
Yes.
What's the reason, Joe, you would go interview someone if you were an FBI agent?
As we think they might have committed a crime.
You have what? Evidence? Thank you, Joe. The pretext for an interview is actual evidence, which Lisa Page and nearly everyone else I just told you about the case, salacious and unverified Comey, McCabe, we wouldn't have had anything without the dossier. The evidence was fake. It was the dossier. Apparently, someone knew this dossier was garbage, and they needed to use it, though, as a pretext to give it the air of credibility. So what happens in January of 2017, being that they have no verified evidence, Joe? January of 2017, the dossier leaks. BuzzFeed gets a hold of it in January of 2017 and prints the dossier. Yes, we have reached the crescendo of stupidity at this point. The FBI has the dossier. The FBI cannot verify the dossier. How do we know that? Jim Comey said it himself. It's salacious and unverified. I'm using his words, not mine. Page is now on the record saying, hey, this could have been literally nothing. And basically acknowledging they did not have a hard case. Hey, it was still a reflection of us not knowing. Lisa Page's words, not mine. So they don't have hard evidence to interview anyone on the Trump team. So what happens, Joe? Jim Clapper, according to multiple reports, the former Obama director of national intelligence, who is knee-deep in this scandal, suggests to Jim Comey, the FBI director, in the same time frame in January, that he go and discuss the dossier with Trump. But he doesn't, this is important, he doesn't tell Trump about the criminal allegations in the dossier. He tells him about the sexual stuff. Why? Andy McCarthy has a brilliant piece on this. It's from a while back. McCarthy's suggestion here is that he goes in there and brings up the sexual stuff and doesn't tell him about the criminal allegations. Comey doesn't tell Trump. Why, Joe? He doesn't want Trump to know they're interviewing him. Why? Because Comey suspects this whole thing is crap and they don't want to be shut down. Genius move. Genius. I don't want to, Joe, if I thought this criminal charge was serious, you better let that sitting president know. But now Comey knows they're knee deep in this. He knows the charges are probably bunk. He needs more time to try to find something on him, or a special counsel or something. Remember, it was Comey who leaked the memo to get the special counsel appointed. He's got to buy time. So in order to he doesn't want this fake investigation shut down. He only tells Trump about the sexual stuff in the dossier. He leaves the criminal stuff out, Comey. Clapper tells him to do it. What happens? CNN then reports, Joe. Reports not on the dossier because they know or they strongly suspect the dossier is garbage, and CNN doesn't want to be put in like the fake news file, at least not right away. So what do? They need a predicate. They need an actual pretext. So CNN gets wind from Clapper, according to multiple reports from Clapper. Hey, the president was briefed on the dossier. I got an idea. Let's run a story about the president being briefed on the dossier. Folks, please tell me you're following this. Don't miss. This is really important. CNN can't report on the dossier because it's crap and it's unverified. But they can report on a factual episode, which is the president being briefed on the dossier, even though he's not told about the criminal stuff. So he can't shut it down. Clapper leaks it to CNN, according to reports, multiple reports. CNN goes, oh, the president's briefed on the dossier. What's the next public response, Joe? What's in the dossier? Well, next thing you know, we see it from BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed puts out the dossier about all these ridiculous, debunked, crap, garbage charges against Donald Trump. Now, in the exact same time period, to circle right back to the beginning, Peter Strzok texts Lisa Page, who knows this thing could be, quote, literally nothing, and says, oh, wow. Let me know when you can talk. We're discussing whether now that this, which is obviously the dossier, is out, we will use it as a pretext to go interview some people. Holy crikeys. Do you understand what's going on right now? The FBI has nothing. The dossier is garbage. It's junk. They can't verify it. So in order to they need an excuse to go interview people. I just asked Joe, what's your excuse in the FBI in the real world to interview people? Evidence. They don't have evidence. They have nothing. They have spurious allegations in this dossier, Joseph. They need an excuse. What do? Jim Clapper leaks it to CNN. Allegedly leaks it to CNN, but there's strong evidence has happened. Jim Clapper admitted up on the Hill, that he had contacts with CNN about this incident. CNN puts the report out, the report that Strzok and Bill Priestap are watching in that office about the dossier is then used as a pretext to go and interview people because they don't have evidence. Folks, this is just the level of corruption here is so horrifying. But I want to leave you on at least on this story with some good news. Devin Nunes, who, the Maria Bartiromo show on the weekends, becoming a must-watch. Nunes always gives away the cookies on this. I want to play a cut from him. Just 1 second on this. I want to play a cut from Nunes about some possible good news here. This was an explosive interview. And Jeff Carlson has a great piece up I have in the show notes today, which goes through this line by line and how important this interview is. There's a number of explosive revelations in this. I'm going to get to the most important one. Hold on 1 second. Today's show also brought to you by our buddies at Brickhouse Nutrition. Brickhouse Nutrition, the best nutrition product on the market, I believe, right now is Field of Greens. Matter of fact, funny story for you. My mother-in-law, who was over this weekend, who I love to death, right? She's like in her accent. She's like, oh, she calls me Donnie. She says, you look so great on TV. You look so young. And I'm not. Listen, it's not a joke. I said to her, I attribute it to two things: the Field of Greens that I take from Brickhouse Nutrition, which is this beautiful combination of basically vegetables ground up into a fine tasting powder.
Dang. I was peeing. I almost missed the commercial. I just happened to hear it coming through my headphones. Dang it, man. Dan and his damn embedded commercials. Got some shroom stew. Yeah, hell yeah, man. Santa Fe soup. I don't know what that is. What is Santa Fe soup? You're not from Santa Fe, so I'm going to assume it's not made there.
That's my secret.
Spicy like taco seasoning, black beans, white corn, etc. Oh, yeah. That sounds good.
So Nunes appears on Maria Bartiromo. Let's get right to it. He says this.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask you to comment on what we learned this week. Some of these texts that were revealed from Peter Strzok to his girlfriend, Lisa Page, about a media leak strategy. So here's one where Peter Strzok says to her, I had literally just gone to find this phone to tell you I want to talk to you about media leak strategy with DOJ before you go. 12 days later, he says, article is out. Well done, Page. Your reaction to this?
Yeah, Well, and what you see is the mainstream media and even Strzok's attorneys have said, no, he actually wanted to get to the bottom of leaks. He was really worried about getting to the bottom and making sure nobody was leaking. Look, that's not what was happening. What was happening here, and this ought to scare American people, it scares me, to know that the FBI and DOJ would go out and leak fake news stories in many cases, plant them in many cases, and then pick up those fake news stories to use it as a pretext, and that's the word that they use in their text, in one of their text messages, a pretext to go out and interview American citizens. Knock on their door and say, look, we read these 3 news stories that we're not going to tell you we actually planted with the news, and we want to talk to you about these news stories. So that's first. Second, don't forget that the Carter Page FISA, it wasn't just that they used the Clinton dirt as a basis to go out and get the FISA. They also used planted news stories to corroborate the dossier in front of the court. So they went to the court and said, look at these news stories, Judge. They actually match this dossier, never telling the court that actually, no, those were planted news stories by the Clinton campaign and the FBI. So these people are really dirty. I hope that we continue to get all this information out before the election so that people know just how sick this Russia Kool-Aid that's been poured upon the American people, how bad it's really been.
Oh, boy, was that a doozy. Now, that goes on. There's more in there. Carlson covers in his piece, but I'm going to hit a few of the highlights. Folks, one quick thing. I don't mean to be distracted, but I get a lot of emails. People, I totally understand. I love your feedback. People are like, hey, man, Dan, with the sound effects. Listen, I'm just a human being. Joe does everything he can to cut out the sound effect. I'm sorry. I breathe, okay? I'm sorry. Joe does his best, okay? My deep apologies, but I do my best. I made some kind of sound.
You're running at a high pace, too.
I know, and I'm just an excitable guy, okay? So a couple of things. Number one, he mentions the pretext. How the whole interview process, Papadopoulos, interviewing Page, all of this stuff was based on media reports that the FBI gave the media. The FBI goes, hey, media, here's these stories. The FBI then sees these stories, right, and says, hey, listen, look at these stories about this. Where did you get the stories? They got them from the FBI. So the FBI is leaking stories to the media. They're then using as evidence that their story that they leaked to the media is true. Do you understand that? Dear media, here's a story. Person A did this. Okay, great. Person A did that. How do you know person A did that? Because we saw it in the media. Yeah, but you gave them the story. Shut up. Don't tell people that. So this is huge. The pretext. Secondly, he says, hey, that's not it. That's not it.
Oh.
If you need to listen to it again, listen to it again. He brings up the second point. He goes, it's not just that. It's that the same media reports they leaked to the media to start the investigation that was used to establish a FISA. So they do these interviews and they get all this stuff together, this investigation, to get a FISA warrant in court. The investigation is, and the pretext for the interviews are press reports they leaked. They also use the press reports as corroborating information in the actual court documents in a FISA. We're supposed to take this thing seriously. Now do you see why Nunes is like, dude, seriously, dude. This is a Kool-Aid drinking episode. He used those words. You are a Kool-Aid drinker. If you believe this is real, you are getting worked so bad. But there's one other quote. Now, Jeff Carlson covers it in a piece. It was a long segment, and I like to keep my show compact for your commute to work. That's why we try to keep it an hour or a little over. There's another part of the interview where Nunes says something incredible. That there are up to 70 witnesses that were called to testify in front of House and Senate committees, and he is going to ask DNI Coates, Director of National Intelligence Coates, to declassify that information. Folks, this was not small potatoes. 70 people? I have to be candid with you. I had no idea that there were that many people who had information. I knew it was a large circle. I did not understand the depth of it as being that wide. That deep and that wide. 70 people. Folks, how widespread was this thing? Now, Nunes is pushing to have those testimonies declassified. Oh, boy, let's see what's in that stuff. Because I had always assumed, like many people, that this was relegated to the upper echelons of the FBI and DOJ. But how far down the chain did this go? 70 people. Wow. It was an incredible interview. Okay. One final note, because I really hate being misled by media people, and it happens so often, it's disturbing. You're seeing these stories, now granted, it's turn it into a real human disaster down, up from me in North Carolina. It's just devastating. My father lives up there in Cary, and it's been bad. The water is, in a hurricane, it's usually not the wind, as most people tell you, and they're right. I mean, the wind does damage too, don't get me wrong, but the water is usually what turns into the more significant damaging component of the storm. But, folks, there's always an effort by the media to paint a narrative. Now, you know what I talked about last week, what they did with Hurricane Maria and what they're looking to do with that. But they're using the weather now as a weapon, too, because that's what the media and the Democrats do, and they're one and the same. One of the narratives they're trying to paint here, Joe, is that climate change is causing an exploding cost accumulation on the storms. In other words, costs are going up because of climate change.
Yeah.
Folks, there's almost no evidence at all that that's true. Ladies and gentlemen, this is really simple. We are becoming a wealthier population. The population is expanding in the United States. Granted, not as a rapid rate it was in decades past, and not at the rapid rate it is in other countries around the world. But the U.S. population is not only expanding, but it's wealthier. When the population expands and it's wealthier, they will move. They will move. I'm trying to say this right because I want to make sure you have the ammunition for your friends. They're moving more towards the coast. They're buying up property that are on beaches, that are in, some of it is in mountainous and heavily wooded areas where forest fires are a problem. We're expanding into places that a less prosperous society wouldn't. People won't generally move to the coast in a less prosperous society because the housing can be expensive. It can be expensive to construct. It has to be built on stilts. And the property, due to the sight lines, it can be more expensive than property inland usually is. Same with these mountain vistas that are surrounded by trees in the forest. It can be expensive to build out there. It's tougher to get there. The costs are more. As we're wealthier, we expand and expand more. I'm not suggesting that that's good or bad or indifferent. I'm telling you what is. When you build on more coastline and you build in heavily forested areas prone to forest fires, what's going to happen? It's not that climate change is making the storms more intense. It's that the same storms are causing more damage because there's people and property where there wasn't in the past. This isn't hard to figure out, folks. Let me give you some numbers. Coastal Florida, where I live, the population since 1970 on coastal Florida has increased 65%. There's more people there. The same thing in Texas. We've seen the same thing in other coastal cities as well. The population is up in North Carolina. It's up dramatically. People and property are moving towards places where it's more dangerous to build based on environmental conditions. It has nothing to do with climate change. Stop believing that. Now, if they can produce evidence, I'm open to it. I've nothing wrong. I do facts here, okay? I'm just telling you, until they can account exclusively for the buildup of people, more expensive property, in a wealthier society in places where they traditionally have been more dangerous in the past, then attribute it to bad moving decisions. Fine. Say, hey, people shouldn't be living there. Fine, that's okay. I want to move to the beachfront. I don't expect you to pay for my property. I know it's dangerous. Right. I want to move to a different. I'm staying in Florida, don't worry. But my neighborhood, they have a property on the water. I want to move to. Joe knows. It's expensive. I'm not asking you to pay for it. I understand the costs. And you have a right to say, Dan, that's a dumb decision. I don't want to pay your flood insurance. Bingo. You're darn right, and you shouldn't have to. Right. But say that's a dumb call. That's a perfectly legitimate thing to say. And if I get flooded out, it may have been a dumb call. But that's not a climate change argument. That's a Dan Bongino argument. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. Say, listen, I appreciate it. Last week was a great week of listens.
All righty, that's the end of that one. And need to start a cooking show. Heck yeah, man. Between me and the ladies in here and a couple of the fellas, Jimmy Beam and a couple others, man, we be cooking up some shit. I do like to cook. I enjoy cooking. But I keep, like, all my recipes are super simple. Like, I don't get fancy with my shit. Number one, I don't eat weird foreign food. Like, occasionally I'll make tacos or burritos, but that's about as foreign as I get. Occasionally Italian food, like, you know, pasta and shit. But for the most part, I just eat very basic, regular shit. Fried fish, you know. Soup. Beef. Make killer guacamole. See, I don't even like guacamole, so that doesn't... hold the guac, man. I don't like the texture of it. I don't know. I don't like it. And the taste isn't great either. Yeah, that's what everybody keeps telling me. I've just had bad guac or something, but I don't know. I've had it a couple times, and I just absolutely didn't like it. I didn't like the texture. Didn't really care for the flavor. Ugh. Ugh. Parmesan. Jeez. Yeah. Yeah, for all your weird foreign food needs, don't ask Pat. If you ask me for food, you're going to get some kind of regular old all-American deal. Because that's what I grew up eating, you know. I don't venture out much. I've had bad quack. Guacamole is as wild as I get. I hear you, man. Bad quack. Basically cook all Southern. Yeah. Like quack fucking quack. All right. So that was episode 808. And tonight's episode, 809, is ready to play. Sit back and enjoy. Oh, no chitlins. I don't. Look, I ain't so broke that I'm going to eat the guts, man. If anything, I feed that shit to my dogs, boil it up, and fucking put it in their dog food. I'm not eating that shit. That ain't human food. No chitlins, no tripe, no tacos de tripas. Not gonna happen, man. I'm not on it. Now we're in the 800s. Chitlins is shitlins. Yeah, they are. And they smell like it, too, when you cook them. When you got to boil that shit, it'll fuck up your house for days. Lasagna bolognese with ground beef and tomato sauce and cheese. Right on, man. That's like a secret barbecue sauce. Cook that shit outside. Yeah, right? It will fuck your house up, dude. My Uncle Richard used to actually like them fucking things, man. And you could always tell when he'd been eating them because you walk in the house days after. Did you just have chitlins? Well, yeah, like 3 days ago. I'm like, your house still smells like poop. Ugh. 20 miles from the house. You got it, man. Outside 20 miles from the house and Matter of fact, don't even use a bucket. Just pour that shit right on the fire and let it burn up. Where I come from, that's the stuff we take out of the critter and bury before we take the critter home to eat it. You know what I'm saying? Time for some smudge. I'm kind of I'm on the grin myself tonight, Don. Low country boil. Yeah, fuck that. All right, episode 809, Dan Bongino.
Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
All right, welcome to the Dan Bongino Show. Producer Joe, how are you today?
All ready to go, Dano. Let's hit it, baby.
Oh, man, do we got a show for you today, folks. This is going to be stacked. Finally, it happened. President Trump has ordered the declassification of the materials we've been asking for, the FISAs, the texts. We should finally get an idea of what happened in this epic disaster known as Spygate, known as Spygate by me, even the title of my book. And the liberal media is freaking out, folks. And I'm going to tell you why they're freaking out today. This is going to be a ride, so strap yourself in, buckle your seatbelts. I've got some explosive stuff for you. Matter of fact, I just got off the phone with Jeff, who writes for The Market's Work, in other words, who writes some good pieces, and we were discussing some just explosive stuff here. All right, don't go anywhere. Today's show brought to you by our buddies at My Patriot Supply. As you've seen with a lot of these recent natural disasters, preparedness matters. You ensure everything in your lives that matter. Ensure your food supply. Recent events have proven to us again the importance of preparation. Once the cone of impact was known for Hurricane Florence, we all saw the pictures of empty store shelves cleared of basic food and water. That's not what you want to face when an emergency strikes you. Folks, you need a plan for food storage and water filtration, protection from disasters, and you need your survival tools. This is important stuff. Here's where you get those things.
Damn. Almost missed that one, too. Fried okra. You know, I've had people cook okra and it was good, but I've never made it where it turned out right. I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong. I just don't eat it usually because I can't cook it right. Yeah, it's fried and crunchy. You know, if it's made right, it's like if you like deep fried vegetables, it's fantastic. Because like I love like deep fried zucchinis and shit like that. Somehow I screw it up. Every time I cook it, it's just nasty and slimy. It never turns out right the way other people have made it. I like it. I don't deep fry it. See, my aunt deep fries it, and hers always comes out really good. I'll eat it if she makes it. Pan fry it crunchy. All right, I might try that. Grilled goat eyeballs. Yeah, I don't do eyeballs either. But I don't mind organ meats like heart meat and liver meat and kidney meat and all that kind of. I don't mind that at all. That's all good eating as far as I'm concerned. Okra and chicken gumbo. Yeah, right. It goes in my mouth or it does not. Yeah, right.
And continue to report a lot of this George Papadopoulos collusion nonsense and all this other stuff, knowing full well it was based on Hillary Clinton campaign documents, and failed to report. A lot of this is pure, utter speculation based on political documents. The media, not that they already haven't been exposed as fake news, but they're going to look like idiots. What am I basing this on? Why does it matter to you? One of the best articles I can recommend to you that would lay this out for you if you're confused at the end of the show is going to be in my show notes today. It's a piece from August by Jeff Carlson. It's at The Market's Work. That's his site. It's going to be at the top of the show notes. Please read it. It's going to lay out in intricate detail everything I'm telling you. Now, this is critical. Folks, something happened in March of 2017, something you need to be aware of. March of 2017 is a critical date. It's a critical month. March is when the unredacted, we're pretty sure, the unredacted FISA applications from October and January are delivered over to the U.S. Senate, right?
All right.
These unredacted FISA applications, Joe, are, from what I'm hearing from a number of people, are heavily, heavily married to the dossier, almost exclusively basing their information on the discredited dossier. This is important, okay?
Okay.
The discredited dossier is a key component of these October and January FISAs that are October and January, October of 2016, January of 2017. So in March of 2017, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and Senator Grassley and Senator Feinstein from Judiciary get a copy of these unredacted FISA applications, which I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the scandal is they're based almost entirely on a dossier paid for by Hillary Clinton. Now, this is where the media, and this is why they're freaking out. Now that Trump has unredacted a lot of this, specifically certain pages of the fourth FISA, which is the last one, but it's important because all this stuff has already happened at this point. It is becoming crystal clear that the media was knee-deep in this entire operation. The media has likely known from day one that a lot of the information they were basing this case on was crap. What do I mean? What else happens right around that time period? The staffer for the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, a guy by the name of Wolf, James Wolf. James Wolf is having a relationship with a reporter at the time from BuzzFeed, a woman by the name of Allie Watkins. Allie Watkins gets a text on May 17th, the day that the document is delivered, these two FISA applications, the date they're delivered to the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. Allie Watkins gets a series of texts from James Wolf. She is a reporter for BuzzFeed. She's later writes a piece exposing Carter Page. Right. Exposing Carter Page's name to the public, not exposing him. So does this make sense?
Yeah, we're good so far.
So the document, these two FISA documents are delivered. Now, it is the number of the text that should pique your interest right now. Wolf sends 82 texts to Allie Watkins, his reporter girlfriend at the time.
We remember that.
Why? Would you remember this part?
Yes,
why is this critical? She's a reporter. She later goes on and obviously she later goes on to work for, I believe, the New York Times. But it's clear she has some kind of relationship with others and that these leaks are happening in the, she's got media relationships, right? The 82 texts are critical. Why? Because the first FISA application, remember, there are two of them delivered to the Senate Committee on Intelligence. The first FISA application is 82 pages long, 82 plus a signature page. Now, you may be saying to yourself, I don't get it. Where are we going with this? Folks, entire pages of that first FISA are redacted in what was disclosed publicly just recently. What was it, a month ago or 2 months ago? They released redacted portions of the FISA. Remember that? I did a show on it?
About two, yeah.
Yeah, about 2 months ago, right? 82 pages, that number is critical because the first FISA is 82 substantive pages long, along with the signature page. Now, you have to ask yourself a pretty basic question here, folks. If James Wolf and the Senate Committee on Intelligence as a staffer is handling this original FISA warrant, why would he text a fully blacked out, redacted page to his reporter girlfriend? The answer is he wouldn't.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. If the document was 82 pages long, the substantive pages, again, outside the signature page, why would he text a fully blacked out page? Now, let me be crystal clear on this. You read Jeff Carlson's piece today, you'll see that as well. Some of these pages are fully redacted. Why would you text essentially a black dot to your reporter girlfriend? You wouldn't. What does that suggest? That the length of the text, we know it was 82 pages because Wolf is now under federal investigation. It suggests that he sent the unredacted FISA to his reporter girlfriend, who subsequently reported on this information. Folks, suggesting that this woman who worked for BuzzFeed and obviously has relationships in the journalism field, later went on to work for the New York Times, that Allie Watkins and other reporters may have had access to the fully unredacted FISA you're about to see. Why does that matter, folks? Because I'm telling you, what's in the fully unredacted FISA is the scandal. It's the scandal from 30,000 feet that they spied on this Carter Page guy using information from a dossier paid for by Hillary Clinton, the information being laundered through the Justice Department. And they used media leaks to buttress their case. The whole case is based on a fake dossier. That's the scandal, folks. The whole thing is based on this fake information. The problem and the reason the media is freaking out over these declassifications is because now the public's going to see what they've known the whole time, that this case was based entirely on political information provided by people paid by Hillary Clinton. Joe, do you get where I'm going with this?
Oh, yeah. They should have let that information go a long time ago. Daddy. Yeah.
If the media had this information and understood that this was all based on the dossier, why have they been promoting all these alternative fairy tales? The Papadopoulos story, all this other stuff. If they've known the whole time, people in the media, that this case was based entirely on political opposition research paid for by the Clintons, why have they been propagating all of these additional myths? It was about Papadopoulos. It was about this. It was about that. It was about the dossier the whole time.
Yep.
The media's known it, ladies and gentlemen.
Boom.
Now, there's some critical stuff here. This is why this is going to be an epic moment for the media, and there's going to have to be a real recognition moment where they look in the mirror and have to say to themselves, what was our role in this? Because they clearly propagandized the American people. Here's what else is going on. In April 11th of 2017, the Washington Post, Devlin Barrett Adamantios, who were intimately involved in this media operation with the FBI. Their names appear in text messages with the FBI. It's clear they were the recipient of some leaks, some critical leaks in this. They write an article about the existence of the FISA warrant, which appears on April 11th, again, of 2017, about the existence of the FISA warrant against Carter Page. But, folks, there's a critical mistake in there. The initial article, which they had to issue a correction for, again, Jeff has this in his piece. I strongly encourage you to read it. The correction is critical. The Washington Post piece from April 11th indicates that the FISA was issued in the summer of 2016. Folks, that's not accurate. That's not accurate. The FISA was issued October 21st of 2016. That is clearly not the summer. Matter of fact, it's, you're starting to approach the winter. Why does that matter? So just to be clear what I'm saying here, the media is freaking out because many of them had this fully unredacted document the whole time, which exposes the dossier as the key component to this whole case, which was fake. But secondly here, why did the media report on this summer of 2016 date, and how did they get it wrong? I'm going to make a suggestion to you here. I'm telling you there are people out there who know this whole story. If you're a listener to the show, I'm pretty convinced John Solomon from The Hill knows the whole story and is doing his homework and releasing it slowly in digestible bits so you all get it. If you're watching Hannity's program at night, some of the people who have good sources on this, Carter, Solomon, and others, you'll see this running thread, Joe, that there's something else going on here. Again, why would the Washington Post get the date wrong? The FISA was not issued in the summer. There were applications for FISAs issued in the summer. Who else were they trying to target? Let me lay out for you and let me be clear on this. I'm reasonably confident what I'm telling you is going to materialize as having been the real genesis of paragraph 1. But I can't tell you how I think I know it just yet. I think what happened here is it's obvious the FBI and the DOJ had a political animus towards Trump and wanted to target him. I told you about Plan A, the unmaskings. all the unmaskings and the potential for queries of the NSA database by the use of private contractors. I talked about that in the show last week, how people in the government were likely querying NSA metadata. I mean, we know that was happening based on the FISA court's interpretation. What exactly they were looking for, we're unsure. And we still don't know who those private contractors were. God forbid they were people working for Fusion GPS or CrowdStrike, by the way. We know that was shut down. They now have to move on to a more formal type of operation where they have to get some kind of a FISA warrant. They issue multiple applications which are denied. They do issue those applications for a FISA in the summer. There have been some hints, and I happen to agree with the people who are dropping these hints, that who else was targeted by this? Here's what I think is going to start to pop up in the coming weeks and months, and especially now that we see the declassifications coming out. Joe, here's what happened here. I think Papadopoulos was the initial target of this. Papadopoulos and his meeting, as I've said to you repeatedly, with Mifsud, I think that was the initial target of this investigation. Mifsud has obvious connections to Western intelligence. You can see his pictures out there. I think the Papadopoulos-Mifsud meeting was the opening target for this investigation, and they thought they had struck gold. I think what happened is the Papadopoulos angle did not materialize because Papadopoulos just wouldn't bite. He would not bite. He didn't. Papadopoulos screwed up. He lied to the FBI about the date. He was talking to Mifsud. But I don't think that the Papadopoulos angle materialized. In other words, if you were looking to target Trump and were looking for an in, somebody probably said, hey, man, listen, we got this Papadopoulos guy. Let's work him, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think it worked. He wouldn't bite on the Russian email stuff. He wouldn't bite on it. So they really had a soft case against Papadopoulos. Now, Solomon's kind of hinted at this a little bit in some of his appearances in primetime on Fox. As the Papadopoulos angle dies out, they need a new target in Plan B. Because remember, now they're shut down. They're shut down on the 702 queries and other things like that, querying the NSA database. So they have to have some kind of a formal investigation, Joe.
Right.
So the formal investigation into Papadopoulos, where they think they can seek possibly a FISA, maybe against Manafort, it's not really materializing like they think it's going to. They move on. They're searching around. They need another name. They need a FISA warrant because remember, once they get the FISA warrant, ladies and gentlemen, on someone on the Trump team, they have these two hops. That's important, where they can hop from that person to the person they email to the person they email. So just to be clear on this, once they get a FISA on basically anyone inside the Trump team, they have a surveillance net to surveil the entire Trump team. You don't forget that. That's why they start going for the little guys, because they don't need the big guy. Once they get the little guy, they can hop right up to the big guy. Simple as that.
Yep.
I think they went for Papadopoulos, and they got nothing. They move on. Carter Page materializes. Now, as Jeff has in his piece, which is a really good point, and a bunch of others, I think, actually, I'm sorry, that may be Paul Sperry, but I'll get to that. I got a bunch of stuff. I've been reading so much stuff over the last few days. I'm trying to distill this down to the main takeaways. Peter Strzok is the division supervisor who had initially had some, I shouldn't say initially, who had some supervisory authority over the New York case against the Russian spies Carter Page was involved in. Follow me. Page is the Strzok is the Washington, D.C. supervisor for this case. As the Papadopoulos angle falls apart, Joe, and they realize they're probably not going to be able to get a FISA against Papadopoulos. They may have applied. This is what we all need to know. They say, hey, listen, now we know Strzok is involved heavily in this case. He probably figures, hey, I remember supervising a case in New York where this guy Carter Page, who's also on the Trump team, wasn't he involved somehow with a Russian case? Yes, he helped us out. He was the confidential informant who had helped us out in this case. Wow, look what we've got. We've got an entirely new angle here. They move on to Carter Page. They get the FISA against Carter Page on October 21st of 2017, allowing them to spy again, basically on the entire Trump team, using that FISA application and these two hops that they can do. Folks, I think the Page angle blows up too. Papadopoulos turns out to be nothing, which we've seen now. They only have him on a false statement to the FBI about a date. It's a nonsensical charge. Right. I believe the Page thing fell apart too. This I have on good information. as the Page angle starts to fall apart. Because remember, Joe, they're listening in on Page now. They have the FISA. They're essentially listening in on his calls.
All right, guys, I'm going to pause this for just a second. I have to go do something right quick. But in the meantime, I'm going to entertain you.
I've got a cold, cold feeling. You're just like ice around my heart. I've got a cold, cold feeling. Yeah, yeah. You're just like ice around my heart. I know I'm gonna quit somebody. Every time that feeling starts, you treat me like a prisoner. Because my hands are tied. Everything you do to me is stacking up inside. It's a cold, cold feeling, yeah. It's just like ice around my heart. I know I'm gonna quit somebody. Every time that feeling starts, there's a change in me, baby. Once I was blind, but now I can see. There's a change in me, baby. Yeah, yeah. Once I was blind, but now I can see. I'm gonna put everybody down, baby, that ever made a fool of me.
Why what? No, I'm okay. All good. That's what, the end of that is all good here. I was answering Techno. He asked me what was up. Yeah. Yeah, sorry I turned off your jam there. I didn't. There's the end of it. I figured I should let you listen to the end of your song since you were jamming. Sorry.
They have his emails. They have his texts. Ladies and gentlemen, Carter Page is never arrested, which says...
You're welcome. I can't leave Bongino running while I'm gone because, ads. I still can't believe they took my channel down for that shit. George Thorogood. Yeah, I might get to that eventually. All right, so here's Bongino back.
To me and should say to you what? The Page case probably fell apart too. It was enough. There was no there. Do I have to? Let me read to you a text by Peter Strzok. An investigation leading to impeachment? You and I both know the odds are nothing. If I thought it was likely, I'd be there, no question. I hesitate in part because of my gut sense and concern. There's no big there. May 18th, 2017, folks. This is after by the way, this is after the FISA warrants and right at the time of the Mueller appointment. This is the lead investigator intimately involved in this who's saying there's no big there. What does that tell you? That tells you that the Carter Page case was probably falling apart too. They're listening in and they're figuring out, Joe, that this is a big zero. Now does the jump back to Papadopoulos and the speedy arrest and all this stuff start to make sense?
Oh, yeah!
You're darn right it does. They're panicking now. They thought they had a case in Papadopoulos, setting him up. It falls apart. They jumped to Carter Page. People in headquarters remember the name. Carter Page, wasn't he involved with some Russians at some point? Let's go after him. That turns out to be garbage. Then they start really freaking out. Then they jump right back to Papadopoulos again. Man, we got to shut him up. Folks, who else were they looking into? How many unmaskings on people were there? Those national security letters that the FBI now admits using, were there any issued for Papadopoulos? Manafort? Just how extensive was the surveillance operation on the Trump team? You hear all these people hinting to it last night? Is this FISA application and all the FBI notes in this case and the text going to be, is this going to, when we start getting the full spectrum of the surveillance net against the Trump team, was it going to be more than just about Carter Page? Let me give you some other interesting angles on this. And just to close that loop, by the way, I don't have a great answer for you right now as to why the Washington Post in their April 11th article exposing the FISA got the date wrong. And here's where I think there's some confusion amongst me and some others I've been talking to about the case. If that summer date that they got was a leak about a FISA application, and that FISA application was about someone else, it doesn't make sense that their source wouldn't correct it in advance before getting the story. You see what I'm saying, Joe? If you were going to leak that you were applying for a FISA warrant in the summer against a Trump satellite figure, right? Mm-hmm. Or a person in the Trump campaign, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that you wouldn't correct it. And if it was a trap, some kind of canary trap, then it doesn't make sense either that Strzok wouldn't correct them unless, because Strzok's the lead investigator, unless they have multiple sources They run with what source one, running a canary trap with the wrong date gives them, and then someone involved in the investigation with connections like Strzok corrects them later. I'm not sure. There's also a date of October 19th as the date of the initial FISA, which is not accurate. That keeps appearing in these left-leaning reports. Keep in mind, the date, October 19th, of the FISA 2017 warrant, ladies and gentlemen, that appears nowhere in the redacted FISA. The dates are blacked out. The only date you see is the March 17th date that the thing is stamped and delivered to the Senate Committee on Intelligence. This is a little confusing. I get it at this point.
Yeah.
The October 19th date that keeps appearing in the media as the date the original FISA is issued is not accurate. The date is October 21st, Joe. So what I'm asking you to consider is, how did the media get that date of October 19th? It's not in the document because it's redacted. Unless, circling back, the media's had the unredacted document the whole time, and the date in the document is intentionally wrong. Maybe they leaked to them a copy of the FISA with the date intentionally wrong, and then someone from the FBI or DOJ called and said, no, that's not the date. It's October 21st, hence the correction later on. You tracking?
Yeah.
That date, October 19th, ladies and gentlemen, does not appear in the FISA document that's redacted. But it may very well appear in an unredacted canary trap document that was delivered to the Senate, knowing it was going to be leaked, knowing the media was going to report on it, and knowing, in fact, that they would have trapped the person who leaked it because that was a setup document. It was the wrong date. It doesn't make sense otherwise why the media would keep getting these dates wrong.
Yeah, right.
But they issue corrections almost immediately. Which logically leads me to conclude, Joe, that these people in the media and the leakers were being set up. They're leaking documents. The media's leaking documents. The documents are being leaked to the media from the Senate Committee on Intelligence. We know that because Wolf is already being investigated for that. What I'm telling you is maybe the documents delivered to the U.S. Senate, those FISA applications, the core of the documents are the same, but there's misinformation sprinkled without. That misinformation is being used to target who the leakers were.
You know, and I find it kind of strange that they published it without checking up, which means they probably trusted their source enough to take it, to take it raw.
Does it make you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see exactly. They trusted the source who would be reliable.
Right.
If their source was in fact Wolf, the staffer on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, this makes a world of sense. Why would he have an inaccurate FISA application? But again, he texts 82 times to his girlfriend. The original document is 82 pages long. Now, you may be saying, well, Dan, because I asked Jeff and I had a conversation this morning. I said, listen, well, technically, it was the first two FISA applications that were delivered. So how maybe he just delivered the unredacted portions of the first two. And Jeff brings up a good point. He goes, no, because that's far more than 82 pages. It makes more sense that he leaked the unredacted first 82-page FISA to them. And in that unredacted document is the wrong date. Folks, please, I so deeply apologize for this being confusing, but I want you to understand and have some faith that there are things going on behind the scenes. It's not happening quick. It's not happening at a speedy pace, but things are happening. It would make a world of sense if a fake FISA application, now the core of it's real, but fake information littered throughout this FISA application is delivered over to the Senate. People in the intelligence community, good guys, know it's going to be leaked. So they sprinkle throughout it information like fake dates, but they only make it wrong by a couple dates. We've seen this before, have we not? The Don Trump Jr. story about how he was leaking information to WikiLeaks. What was wrong? The date. He wasn't leaking anything. WikiLeaks was spamming his email box. The Mike Flynn story. Oh, he was ordered to contact the Russians during the campaign. It was after the campaign was over. We've seen these leaks before. Strategically designed leaks designed to trap people. Let me circle back to how we started. I believe this is why the media is freaking out right now. They realize in some of these declassified documents, some of the information they've been exposed to the whole time, the wrong dates, all of this stuff is going to expose them because they got played. The date was wrong for a reason, to expose the leakers, knowing they were going to leak to their media allies, who then put it out and published it in the paper. This makes a world of sense why they're freaking out right now.
I think most of us are with you. I think we've got it. We're good. Makes sense to me.
All right. It's important.
Gotcha.
This explains a couple of things. It explains the October 19th date. Just again, to be clear, the media kept reporting the FISA application, the first one, was approved on October 19th. It was not. It was approved on October 21st. Right. Why would they all report? Read Jeff Carlson's piece. He has links to all the October 19th FISA. There was no October 19th FISA. There was an October 21st first FISA. Now, you can't leak a fake document altogether, Joe. The media will sniff out that it's garbage.
Yeah.
You have to leak it. If you're looking to canary trap people, you have to leak it with some element of believability. And you sprinkle it with some false statements throughout, knowing that those false statements or false dates will get reported. And then you say, well, who did we give those false dates to? Oh, we gave them to a guy on the Senate staff. Well, that's got to be the guy leaking because the media is reporting October 19th. Now, Jeff brought up an interesting point to me I wanted to relay, and it's a good one, too. Let's not forget here that Fusion GPS was really, really eager, Joe, to cover up its bank records as well. Wait, let me get to that in a second. This is important, folks. This is really critical stuff. All right, today's show also brought to you by our buddies at...
Got him. No promotion will slip past my censorship. Actually, it's not my censorship. It is my censorship. I have a certain amount of responsibility, but mostly it's YouTube's fault. If she stops on Teletubbies, she wants you to stop. Oh, that's amazing. What's up, Tanya Sharma? Welcome back, lady. How's your food? What's up to tires?
Really easy to use. ExpressVPN secures.
Faux cheese spaghetti lasagna. Damn.
Less than 7.
See, now that sounds good. If you could turn a can of sauce into that, you're in there. What's up, Singularity?
You want to keep hackers and spies from seeing... Express VPN.
Ah, jeez. Yeah, but I did that, and I put fair use stuff on my show notes before, and they still cracked me. It didn't help me at all. Maybe I should do like a video version, like put it on the video itself.
All of us that did.
Dry cottage cheese. Right on.
Porters. Now, again, my sincere apologies if this is at all confusing. But the declassification is not simply it's about two things. It's about the media's role in this about to be exposed. And secondly, it's about exculpatory info. I haven't even gotten to that yet. That may not have been included. But the media's role in this, what I've been laying out to you is, was the media being leaked to selectively while the intelligence community was already aware of the leaks? They were providing canary traps knowing an extensive leak network was being worked to damage Donald Trump. Number one. Number two, Did the media have the unredacted FISA the whole time, which makes them complicit in this, Joe, because they would have known the whole case was based on the Carter Page dossier. Right, the dossier wasn't even, the dossier on Page was it.
There's hold on, there's something going on, folks. My thing is going nuts. Like it's got part live and part not live. I don't know what the hell is happening. Yeah, but it keeps coming back on.
Joke. It was a farce. Did the media know this the whole time where they still pumped the collusion fairy tale? Third, who was Fusion GPS paying? Was Fusion GPS on the Hillary Clinton payroll at the exact same time that they were paying reporters to pump some of their stories? Oh, boy, if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, this is why the media is freaking out. They may have been actively involved in a leak operation without even knowing it. They were getting played. I told you about the dates. The dates were wrong for a reason. They may have had the unredacted FISA. Why do we know that, or why do we think that? Because we have an 82-page text, an 82-text exchange with a reporter. The document's 82 substantive pages long. Why would you text redacted pages? It's probably the full document. Also, if there's no date in the document, and there is none, go look at the redacted FISA. You will not find a date other than the March 17th stamp. How did the media get the October 19th date unless they had a leak? But it's not the right date. It was probably put in there intentionally to out the media and the people that were being leaked to. You tracking? We're good. Finally, was the company hired by Hillary Clinton actively working with reporters on their payroll to advance this Russian collusion story? Then, I mean, think about the angles here and how devastating this is to the media's enterprise as fair and honest arbiters of the truth. It would be over. You have them first receiving classified information from insiders. That's nonsense. It's debunked dossier garbage the FBI used. You have them caught in a canary trap, and you may have some of them on the dole. Now, why am I very suspicious of Fusion GPS here, too? Because I based the show on the facts, and we already know that Fusion GPS was very, very that is the one thing they would not talk about. They did not want to talk about their bank records. They did not want anyone to know who they were paying. But also, Joe, why did Glenn Simpson run in the Fusion GPS operation? Why did he tell investigators in the case that he only met and started talking with Bruce Orr after the election? That's not true. That's not what Bruce Orr says. Bruce Orr said they started talking in August. August, election in November, August, November. Joe, is August before November?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
It is.
Yeah, I thought so. I had to check on that. Sometimes I have to do those in January for me. Okay. August is before November.
Yeah.
So we have two conflicting stories here. Remember, we're talking about was Fusion relaying information to the media and a sophisticated operation the media was involved in to discredit and take down the Trump team. That's why they're freaking out. What is in the 302s, the Bruce Orr interviews with the FBI that they're going to declassify? If there were 302s from August talking about Glenn Simpson from Fusion, we know Glenn Simpson was not telling the truth then. But it would be awfully convenient, Joe, for Glenn Simpson if he didn't want people to know that there were potential payments to people in the media to advance this Russian collusion hoax in conjunction with Democrat operatives and others. It would be awfully convenient for him to say, wouldn't it, that no, I didn't start talking to Justice till after the election. Wouldn't that be convenient? In other words, wasn't me, Joe. I didn't do it. I didn't try to alter the election. Wait. I thought the story here, folks, was that the Trump team was working with the Russians to try to alter the election. Wouldn't it be awfully special if Glenn Simpson from Fusion GPS had met with justice officials before the election, as Bruce Orr seems to clearly indicate based on his August 2016 statements that he met and started talking with Simpson on this? Wouldn't it be fantastic if the whole time it was Fusion GPS working with Russian sources before the election to try to actually alter the election? And is that what Bob Mueller and everyone else is trying to hide today?
Ew.
Now do you see why, Joe? It's in Glenn Simpson's best interest to say, oh, no, we didn't meet till after the election. You sure about that, Daddy-O? Daddy-O, are you crystal clear on that? Because you got some splaining to do when these now declassified FBI summaries of their meetings with Bruce Orr, God forbid, these meetings document conversations you had with Bruce Orr before the election. Oh, and your wife, Bruce Orr, was working for Fusion GPS at Simpsons, and working with Simpson's operation. Does that make any sense to you at all? No, of course it doesn't. I think it's clear as day what's going on. Fusion GPS hired Nellie Orr for her expertise in Russian, but for her expertise in something else too. A relationship with Bruce Orr. She was married to him. There was only one expert. This was not a polygamous relationship in Bruce Orr, and that expert was Nellie. You need access to the Justice Department? Oh, and by the way, she's an expert in Russian too. Isn't that great? How about we work with some Russian sources putting together this dossier, right? We work with Russian sources. We get some fake information from these Russian sources. We can have Nellie kind of help with the whole Russian translation and all that other stuff. Maybe Nellie, maybe Fusion GPS had some access to some stuff. Were they one of those contractors, by the way, tapping into that database? People want to know, Nellie gets to, use her Russian skills here. These Russian sources, she can help out. Conveniently, her husband works at the DOJ. Right before the election, they're shuttling fake information through the dossier into the Justice Department that makes it into the FISA court. They get a double whammy. They get to spy on Trump. They get an instant connection into the DOJ, and a triple whammy. And then they get to work with media sources. Who are they paying exactly? They get to work with media sources to filter this nonsense narrative into the media to damage Donald Trump, and God forbid he wins. Use that information to appoint a special counsel later. Folks, I'm telling you, this is going to be an epic disaster. Do you understand why? Because a lot of you who are regular listeners, this is familiar stuff to you, some of it. Mm-hmm. But with the declassification, I know to Joe, I can see him shaking his head here. Mm-hmm. But with the declassification last night, I want you to fully understand why the declassification part is so damaging. Don't take the simplistic way out. I'm not trying to knock anyone. People have jobs in life. They don't have time. Right. This is what I do for a living. Joe has another job. I mean, he doesn't get. I wrote a book. I mean, literally wrote a book on this, right?
Right.
With Denise and Matt. Mm-hmm. The simplistic take on this is, it's going to expose that the dossier was used to spy on Trump. Yes, it is. You're right. And that is the big story. But that's not why the media is freaking out. The media is freaking out because they knew this the whole time. Do you understand? They've known the entire time that the dossier was the bedrock of this entire spying operation, and the media did almost nothing to verify any of it while reporting it because they wanted it to be true. Were they being paid by Fusion? Were they part of a canary trap? I don't want to keep repeating, but you need to understand the media is panicking because they were an integral part of this entire operation. They have been reporting the whole time on a fake dossier that some of them actually had based on almost dispositive information. The texts, the wrong date that keeps appearing. The date isn't in the redacted document. How would the media get a date? What did they guess? They had the unredacted one. So wrapping up, takeaway number one. This is a critical day, not just because the FBI is going to be exposed, but the media too. We're now going to start to find out just how much they knew, when they knew it, and how extensive the ties were between investigators and media people. That's where the McCabe texts come in. And let me just let you in on a little piece of information that is, I'm not sure if it's exclusive to me, but there were a lot of after-hours communications that happened between FBI higher-ups involved in this. You can cash this check. Take it to the bank. A lot of those after-hours communications were not on devices secured for that information.
Whoa.
Now, is right.
Yeah.
Why does that matter? Folks, the FBI dumped an investigation into Hillary Clinton for exchanging classified information over unclassified personal servers. Were they doing that while actually exchanging information on this case and others over unclassed devices themselves? It's not a small detail, folks. Does that explain, at least partially, outside of the political bias, why they were so eager to make that case go away? And why Jim Comey gave that press, no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute this. Were you involved too, Jim? Was there personal email there too? In other words, were you involved in the exchange of information entirely inappropriate over unclassified devices? Now do you see why the declassification, not just of the 302s and the FISA applications, but the declassification of the texts? Now you see why this is so devastating?
Yeah.
This entire house of cards, folks, is collapsing. Listen to me, libs. You've been suckered. You've been snookered. You got worked over so bad. You have been promoting this collusion hoax forever. It's over. It's over. Time to take a bath on this. Time to disinfect. It's done. Your story is now completely going to come out. It's finished. It is over. But it's not just the media's role in this that's going to be exposed. It's the exculpatory information, too, that was likely not included. Now, please, again, read the show notes. These pieces are long, but they are worth your time today. There's a Paul Sperry piece at Real Clear Investigations I have in the show notes, which lays out in detail how not only is this going to expose the Carlson piece is more about the media angle, but Sperry's piece is about the angle on Carter Page. The FBI, ladies and gentlemen, had information indicating Carter Page was not, in fact, a Russian agent, which kind of throws a monkey wrench into your FISA application if your FISA application, Joe, says that Carter Page is a Russian agent. You have to include that. It is immoral. It is unethical. It is unquestionably a violation of your professional responsibilities as a federal agent by, given a badge and the power to arrest and take the lives and freedom of others, to not walk into a court and disclose fully that there's exculpatory information indicating that your premise that he's a Russian agent may in fact not be true. We will know this now. Why will we know this? Because now we're going to get a look at the FISA application. And why this fourth one is so critical, ladies and gentlemen, is, again, this is the last FISA back in June. This is when all of the Orr interviews have happened. The interview of Papadopoulos has happened. They've been spying on Carter Page for months. If Carter Page was a Russian agent, by the time the fourth FISA, Joe, they've been through multiple renewals. They've been listening in on Carter Page for a while. If that fourth FISA contains no exculpatory information they've unquestionably accumulated at this point, then the FBI was spying on an innocent man for a reason to get into the Trump team. And it's looking increasingly obvious like that's the case. Carter Page, again, was on Hannity's show last night. If this guy was some kind of Russian super sleuth, why is he out there right now and not under arrest? I think the reason is obvious, because he's not. All right, I want to get to this quote from the Sperry piece, because this is going to be takeaway number 2. Before I get to that last ad of the day, I always appreciate your patience. Our sponsors help us keep the show free, and I'd appreciate your supporting them too. Today's show also brought to you.
Yes, sir. Free dental work. Line them up. And then show him your hand. Heck yeah, Donald. Yeah, we might be related, man. Me and Sick Nick. Sick Nick, Sick Pat. There's something there. There's a pattern. Oh, no. Left. They all left you. Oh, no. That's terrible. It looks like your relative. Yeah, dude, pulling that eye tooth out of my hand was no fun, man. That fucker was jammed in there good. My knuckle is still kind of split. Like when I make a fist sometime, you can see where it like cracked my knuckle in half and it was jammed. Oh, God, it sucked. Pulled that fucker out with a pair of pliers.
A jar of it to my mother-in-law, too, who loves it. All right.
Aw.
So takeaway number 2 from the declassification and why it's so critical.
I know everybody loves you here, Yaritza. You are loved and appreciated in this chat. If they're not responding, I'm pretty sure it's just because I don't know. There's something going on. See, there's Miriam. I meant first name. Sleeping pills kicking in. Not the sleeping pills. Jesus. Guys are more fun anyways.
Is there exculpatory information on Carter Page? In other words, information indicating that Page was innocent of these charges the entire time that was not included. This is a disaster for the FBI if this is in fact true. Here is a quote from Paul Sperry's piece, which will be in the show notes. And I'm quoting here. The FBI omitted from its application to spy on Carter Page. This is from a source he has, by the way, just so you understand, a source Paul Sperry has. The FBI omitted from its application to spy on Carter Page the fact that Russian spies had dismissed the former Trump campaign advisor as unreliable, or as one put it, an idiot, and therefore unworthy of recruiting. According to congressional sources who have seen the unredacted document. Folks, do you understand how profound this is? See, here's the problem. Some of the people, whenever we put out things like, and I get it, there's always Joe and I are in the conservative content space, and forgive us sometimes for a little bit of hyperbole, but we want to get the content out, and people like adjectives and stuff, but honestly, if I think something's a bombshell, I'll call it a bomb. I don't care. Oh, Dan, it's a bomb. This is huge. This is enormous. A congressional source is saying that the FBI had information that the Russians thought Carter Page was unworthy of recruiting as Joe. They apply for a FISA warrant suggesting that Carter Page is being recruited as a Russian spy. Please let that digest a minute. Chew the cud a second. Think about that. Do you understand how profound this is? Thank you, Chew. Chewy gets it.
Yeah.
Chewy gets it. This is in Sperry's piece. The FBI, according to a congressional source, had information that the Russians not only did not want this guy, they thought he was an idiot and thought he was unworthy of recruiting. As the FBI walks into court, doesn't tell the judge any of this and says, this guy's a Russian spy, Judge.
Holy cow.
Yeah, yes. Dude, now, just dialing back to point number 1 again. Did the media know this the whole time? Did they have information on Page that Page was not in fact a Russian spy? Now, that part we're unsure of. But I'm asking you the question. Did the media have some of this information that Page was in fact not only not a Russian spy, that the Russians thought he was an idiot and thought he was unreliable? And didn't want to recruit him, while reporting simultaneously that Trump colluded with the Russians? Now do you see, folks, why the dossier, being a critical component of the FISA application, is so big? Again, I'm desperately trying not to confuse you because it's so important. But there are 3 major takeaways today. Number 1 is the simple one. Declassifying the FISA is going to expose that the Trump team was spied on based almost exclusively on this dossier. The dossier is fake. The dossier implicates Carter Page in some Russian collusion scandal as an agent of the Russians. It is not an accurate charge. That's number one. Number two, did the media know this? If the media knew this, why didn't they report it? And why do they continue to propagate the myth that Trump colluded with the Russians, knowing that it's all based on a fake dossier implicating Carter Page? Number three, did the FBI omit exculpatory evidence from the FISA? Now, when we get this unredacted FISA, we're going to see the whole thing. And folks, God forbid it does not include this information. This is key. This is critical. The FBI is raising their right hand in Affian in a FISA court, swearing that Carter Page is a Russian spy while simultaneously having information that not only is he not, but that the Russians don't even want him. This is a key, critical piece of information. It speaks to the ethics, the morals, the professionalism, and the legality of the people we've entrusted with sincere, honest, supposedly honest intelligence powers that are supposed to keep us safe, not to spy on us. It gets worse. From the Sperry piece, please read this stuff today. The potentially exculpatory detail was also withheld from 3 renewals of the wiretap warrant before a special government surveillance court. The warrants issued by the FISA court allowed the FBI to spy on Page and others he was in contact with for almost a year, the sources also confirmed. Folks, now do you see why the 4th FISA, which is what they're specifically declassifying, the last one, is it making sense why this is so critical? Mm-hmm. It's bad enough that in the first warrant, the first FISA warrant, in October, to spy on Page, it's bad enough, Joseph, that they didn't disclose the exculpatory information they had based on the 2013 Russian spy investigation that Page was involved in. He had helped the FBI, ladies and gentlemen. He was a cooperator. That's the case where the Russians called him an idiot and deemed him unworthy of recruiting. You tracking me, Joe? That was known by the time of the first FISA application. So they're spying on a guy, Carter Page, in October. They say he's a Russian agent. And it's in October, they know it's not true. They have exculpatory information that does not appear there, indicating that the Russians don't want this guy. They think he's an idiot, which obviously runs in complete contradiction to your theory that he's a Russian agent. But why the 4th FISA is so critical is they renewed this thing 3 times. And even in the last one, in an act of utter desperation, Joe, in June of the next year, despite spying on this innocent guy for a year, they still didn't have anything on this guy. Anything. So you've known now since 2013 that the Russians don't want this guy. You've known that he helped you. You've now been spying on him for a year, and in that 4th FISA, you have nothing other than the same regurgitated allegations in the dossier? Do you understand what that means? They spied on this guy for a year, and in that 4th FISA, you have the same exact garbage from the dossier you had in the first one? You see why it's so devastating? They spied on this guy with the full force of the United States government for a year and found nothing. Nothing. Yet they kept regurgitating the same junk over and over and over, and that junk is the dossier. Now, what else are we going to find? There's a couple other things I want to hit here in these last few minutes. There's an October 14th email from Peter Strzok. Remember, the October 21st date is the original FISA. Peter Strzok indicates that they have to start applying, quote, hurry the F up pressure to get this thing done. Why are they hurrying up? Now, the story I told you before about the 30,000-foot timeline makes more sense. It appears around October 14th when Strzok sends this email about the hurry the F of pressure on the FISA, Joe, which is going to be approved in just 7 days, right?
With you.
This is an October 14th email.
Yeah.
The FISA is approved to spy on Page October 21st. The media keeps getting the date wrong, October 19th, which, again, I'm telling you is a trap. Why does Strzok need the DOJ in their vetting process to, quote, hurry the F up? Why? Because right around October is probably when they start to figure out, or probably earlier than October, it's probably before he sent this email, is where they probably start to figure out that they've got absolutely nothing on their Papadopoulos angle. Remember, the Papadopoulos meeting with Mifsud, where he's told about this Russian dirt on Hillary, happens earlier in the year in April. They probably run that thing into the ground. They try to set up Papadopoulos. They run a spy against him. They do whatever they can, and they've got nothing on Papadopoulos. He doesn't bite because there's nothing to bite on. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't even have the contacts in the campaign to at the high levels to make the collusion happen, even if he wanted to. Around October, what's coming up, Joe, in November of 2016?
The election.
Yeah. You think?
Here it comes.
Strzok, whose anti-Trump animus is clear as day at this point, and again, who is now I'm going to tie it together for you, was the supervisor in Washington, D.C. overseeing that 2013, was a supervisor, that 2013 case from the New York office with the Russian spies where Carter Page cooperated. They finally start to see, let's try this Page guy instead. There was something with him and the Russians, right? They need to speed up the FISA, which is issued October 21st, because they're running out of time before the election. They know if they can get a spy net on this guy, a drag net through the FISA warrant, they can start to hop around through the two-hop rule through the Trump campaign. And if there is any Russian collusion, although Page says later on in May there's no big there, that they'll find it and they can get it before the election and probably leak it to their media sources. They don't have anything. But now that October 14th email, hurry the F up pressure, is starting to make a whole lot of sense. Also, folks, there's a very suspicious text exchange that's been milling its way around that should make more sense now that the redactions are going to be pulled out. There's a text exchange, Joe, from, what is this? Looks like right around the October-November period. Excuse me, my eyesight's really bad. It's sent to Peter Strzok, and he says, we need to lock in redacted in a formal, chargeable way, too. Strzok then texts back. He says, I agree. I've been pushing, and I'll reemphasize with Bill. It's assumed he's talking about his boss, Bill Price, then. Folks, if the name's redacted, so let's be clear. Comey's fired at this point. Comey, what do we say here? So Comey, we need to lock in a formal, chargeable way. So, yeah, he wants to, just to be clear who he's talking about. I don't want to confuse anybody. Peter Strzok, who's the lead investigator in this case, talks about locking someone in a formal, chargeable way, but the name is redacted. And Peter, Lisa Page says that, and Page responds, I agree, I've been pushing, and I'll reemphasize with Bill Price, his boss. When these redactions are pulled out, God forbid that name is Mike Flynn. Because it shows, again, a targeted effort by people to take down people in the Trump team, to lock them in. They're looking to lock these people in early to get why they still have their own people in charge of the FBI before someone gives them a look-see. Now, sorry if that was a little confusing. I just want to bring that up in light of the fact that Mike Flynn's sentencing date keeps getting pushed back, and now it looks like they've locked in a date, which says to me that Mueller wants to lock that sentencing agreement in before the IG report comes out, which exposes just how badly the Mike Flynn case was handled. That's my guess on that. There was one last thing I wanted to cover on this. What was it? Oh, gosh. I'm sorry, folks. I had a brain meltdown there. I got so much stuff going on today, so just forgive me. But let me just quickly sum up, and we'll bounce for the day. So the media is worried because of the declassification of the documents, it may show that they've been involved. We want to know who was being paid. We want to know all the texts. Who were they dealing with in the FBI? Were they part of a canary trap? And were they propagating the myth? Did they have the unredacted FISA? If they did, why did they keep reporting that Carter Page was a Russian spy and not do any effort at all to verify, in fact, that the dossier was true? Secondly, the FBI omit exculpatory data from this. If they omitted the exculpatory data on Carter Page, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be looking at a world of trouble for all of these people. Oh, here's the one thing I wanted to mention. I had suggested to you a while ago, because some of you had asked me, you were like, get him, get Strzok. Why is he still there? And why is Price Steph and these others, why are they still in the FBI? And I had suggested to you, Joe, if you remember, that because there's a difference between administrative and criminal penalties. Yes. And you have to remain with the agency in order for administrative penalties to remain effective. If they were to fire people in the FBI like Strzok immediately, they would not have their pensions and administrative penalties to hold over their heads. Understand that, please. The criminal prosecutions of Strzok are completely separate. He will always maintain his ability to plead the Fifth Amendment. We plead the Fifth. I'm not going to say him. That's fine. He's an American citizen. No one can force him to say anything. But, while he's working within the FBI, they can force him to say something under administrative guidelines, or he loses his job. And then he can plead the Fifth all he wants. I suggested to you a long time ago, if you're a listener, that I believe Strzok and McCabe and others were kept on the payroll longer than necessary because there may have been a little operation on the administrative side to see what they were doing. Don't be surprised if in the coming days and months we find out that there were efforts by them after this was exposed to cover their tracks. You heard it here first. And that the FBI may have been watching the whole time. And if they fired them, Joe, those tracks would have disappeared. Sorry for that little brain thing at the end. I've had so much going on today. I didn't even get to my sound bites, but I'll get to them tomorrow. I just wanted to be sure I got it all in. All right, thanks again for tuning in, folks. Please subscribe to the show. Check out the show notes today at Bongino.com. But the subscriptions drive us up the charts. Check us out as iTunes, at SoundCloud, Spotify. Subscriptions are free. We really appreciate it. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.
All right. Awesome. 2 episodes of Bongino. Can't spell Bongino without B-O-N-G. Q and QAnon are different. Well, Corsi's point wasn't to go after the chats. It was the actual Q thing itself. Hell yeah, me too. I am an Alex Jones fan. All right. Yeah, fuck you. Q's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with anybody following that shit. My issue is that they were compromised. And when it comes to intelligence, once compromised is always compromised. Even when they claim to fix it, you never really fix it. There's always somebody in the back door on that shit. Anybody that deals with any kind of intelligence will tell you that once a source is compromised, you can't never trust it again. Likes to fuck with Captain Picard. Yeah, he is. Good catch, Canoes. Yeah, anybody that knows anything about intelligence gathering of any kind will tell you that, man. If you get a source and you find out that it's been compromised, you just never go back and use that source again, not for any legitimate information, because you just can't trust it. And I feel the same way about Q. I followed them in the beginning, and then I saw them get compromised in real time, and I knew then that they were no longer useful other than for entertainment. Okey doke, okey doke, okey doke. Chew soap, chew soap, chew soap. Yeah, once you're burned, it's over, man. Sure, I hear you, Singular. Well, that's why I say I don't have a problem with anybody following Q and what they're saying and stuff. I just wouldn't put like shitloads of stock in it, you know, because you never know when they're going to be compromised again, and that's really the problem. Once an intelligence source is compromised, they can always be compromised again. But, you know, have fun. Bing, bing, bong, bong. Bing, bong, bing, bong. Let's listen to some jams. Haven't seen Savage Nation? My goodness, that's Michael Savage's radio show, Singularity.
There's a storm watch warning, baby. Your love is turning cold. Winds of change are blowing. Forecast puts our love on hold. Barometric pressure's falling. Raining heartbreak in my soul. I bet you on a stormy Monday, the sun nowhere in sight.
Yeah, man. So what we... Checking food. Heck yeah. Make sure you don't burn to dinner. You went to a lot of trouble to forage that supper up. Right? Yeah, Michael Savage is alright. He gets a little full of himself from time to time, but, you know, that's okay. I hear you, Miriam. You will not do I not. Freaking weirdos. Right? Oh, there's no doubt. Michael Savage is a very smart guy. comments right now on We the People chat. I don't trust We the People. All right. Yeah, I've seen their videos on YouTube. I never watched them. What kind of American criticizes capitalism? The leftists, that's who. The damn socialist commie freaktards over on the left-hand side of the aisle. And I don't listen to them ever, for any reason.
Your love is not the same. Your touch is cold and empty.
Yeah, right. If I don't speak for myself, who will?
Left me standing in the rain.
Yeah, like I said, Savage is okay. He gets a little uppity sometimes, but that's okay. I know, like whenever somebody's like, capitalism, I'm like, leftist weirdo. Capitalism is the basis of all trade on the planet since the dawn of time. It's like there hasn't been a trade made in humanity's history that didn't reinforce the idea of capitalism. You know what I mean? He's like a political diss artist. Yeah, yeah, sometimes he gets on that kick, man. He just starts insulting people. No, it certainly doesn't need a central world bank or a Federal Reserve. Capitalism is a very basic idea. And since the first caveman traded another caveman for a prettier rock, capitalism. You know what I mean? Ooh, Mark Levine is beast. Love that guy. He's a little dry, but man, is he on top of his game, man. Skip the World Bank, IMF, right? Yeah, you can skip all that shit. Capitalism doesn't need it.
Sky has started clearing. I miss your warm embrace.
Oh, well said, Joseph Reyes. Well said, Joseph.
Ain't no rainbow in my future.
That's right, Donald. That's right. It's a contract between two people making decisions for themselves. Oh, it's worse than a distraction. It's a leech on humanity. You know, they want to get a chunk of every deal you make. You know, that it's all bullshit. It's just some way for somebody that doesn't know how to do shit to steal your money for shit they didn't do. Same thing with the Federal Reserve and any other controlling bank on this planet. Yeah, interest is an absolute scam. As a matter of fact, the Christians ought to be up in arms about that, because the Bible specifically says that interest is theft. At least anything above and beyond, anything beyond 10%. An argument could be made for 10% interest. But anything over that is definitely theft. My personal belief is that it's all theft. Taxation is theft, absolutely, 100%. Absolutely, it should be voluntary. Usury is a big reason the Jews have been hated for so long. Yeah, they will. They do like their taxation. Careful, Tanya, don't burn your lips off. Yeah, right, Dallas? That's nuts, man. Wow. Yeah, that's nuts, man. Damn, the whole check wasn't probably much more than that. I have to clear $100K a year to make $50K on my own. Holy shit. Oh no, he loses a shitload of taxes, Dallas. They taxed the bejesus out of that guy.
I said, people, you know how it feels when you're all alone.
They're taking half your shit. That's fucking ridiculous, Sing.
I said, people, you know how it feels when you're alone. When that woman you were loving,
no matter how you dice it up, the government is out of goddamn control. I think that's what Trump's going to do in his second term is start chewing that shit down.
You know you went and left me, baby. You didn't even say goodbye.
Yeah, right, Donald.
Oh, no. You know you went and left me, baby. You didn't even say goodbye now. Now all that I can do, girl, is just hang my head and cry.
Small business means 24/7 in Colorado. Yeah. Well, that's not just in Colorado. Anytime you're in a business, man, if you're not working for somebody else and you're running your own business, you have to be on the job 24/7 because anything can happen at any time.
You know how it feels when you're alone. When that woman you were loving, she's going red, you're happy home. Yeah, you're happy home.
All right, hold on, guys. Pops needs me for something.
says, people, 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 do you know how it feels when you're all alone? Let me hear you say, yeah. People, 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 you know how it feels when you're alone.
All right, I'm back.
All alone. When that woman you were loving,
Because Colorado is run by idiots. His name is Hickenlooper. If you didn't know just from that, there's something wrong with you. Anybody that voted for anything named a Hickenlooper just doesn't have a grasp on her humanity, on reality, or anything else. I'd like a job with your company. What's your name? Hickenlooper. No, thanks. You're going to have to go get a job somewhere else. Names are powerful, and that name says... bleh. Hi, my name is Furful Hickenlooper. I got my name because my mom was having a stroke when they asked her what my name was. Hickenlooper. You know, fuck. All right, put it on the fucking paper. You know, poor kid. Doctor's writing it in. He's like, he's gonna have trouble in high school. I can see it coming. And Dick and a Lopper. Furfernurker. And then Callie moved in. Ah, Jesus. The Colorado 70s hippie. Right. Half the Front Range is nuts. We don't claim Boulder. The Boulder College cult kicked them out to make it more trendy. The day you were born and the day you find out why. Ah, wow. Well, I got one of them knocked down. Oh my God, so trendy. I don't have the slightest clue why I was born. I'm pretty sure it was just so I could suffer for a while. I was born to kill commies. Right on. Oh. Yeah. Oh, boy. Lots of Nazis settled here. Was that some kind of back-end piece of Operation Paperclip? Smuggled him into Canada to keep him from getting hung at Nuremberg. Or were they just, like, running? Oh, you don't know the history on it? You should look it up. fuck's sake, Tanya. Just Google it. Why did lots of Nazis settle in my area? Nazis have great food. Fuck Google. That's Nazi. Put them in a POW camp. Most of the info is covered up. I did look it up, but it said nothing about paperclip. Okay. We stopped in Boulder, Colorado on our way out to, when we were going to Alaska to see my uncle's cabin. And we ate dinner at Tony Paco's. That was pretty cool. Racists in Canada? Never. Trudeau wouldn't permit it. Oh my goodness. He would do yoga until they stop. And then throw his eyebrows at him. Snatch one off, wing it across the table. All the Nazi scientists went either to North America or Russia. Yeah, and then became Democrats. Absolutely. They're conservative here. How is that possible? See, I never understood that. Conservative thought requires that you give your neighbor a certain amount of respect that you expect for yourself. It's a give and take. It's kind of in the very idea of conservatism. I don't understand how conservatives end up. It's weird. I don't think they're conservative. Yeah, far right. I would argue far right, like extreme far right, because there's nothing in conservatism that really permits that. Racism is generally stupid and counterproductive because it doesn't apply in reality. Somebody being black or Indian or what, Mexican or whatever, it has absolutely nothing to do with their content of character. It has nothing to do with who they are as a person. It has about as much effect as a colored hat they might be wearing. The only difference is they were born with the hat. Who cares? It's completely irrelevant. By knocking on this door, ringing the bell, you've signed your agreement with the terms outlined above. $50 a minute. Ah, hell yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's all right, Gus. Shit, just jump in whenever you feel like it. It's all good. Amazon gift cards from reward programs. Holy shit. Someone say something quick so I can make fun of you. Lasagna turned out okay. Right on. Okay is always better than crappy. I am a meat popsicle. Fifth Element. Nice quote. Do you identify as a human? I am a meat popsicle. Good stuff. All right, more jams. A little bit salty since I was doctoring the strange canned sauce. Yeah, it's probably better you throw a little salt in there anyway. Hello, Dallas's mom. What bad news you get, brother? Well, you said that. Yeah, you said that too. What's the bad news? Jesus. Ah, Jesus. Yes, 10 p.m. really exists. So does 3:45 a.m. Amazing but true stories. No, you didn't lose, Pat. Yeah, I heard that, Tanya. That's pretty sad. What's up, Sing?
And she told me, she said, Daddy, everybody have to lose. I'd rather be by myself, cause I could buy everything I use.
Gus. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, right before needing something. I don't need nothing. Well, except this tennis racket. I don't need nothing but this tennis racket. And my hockey stick. I don't need nothing but my hockey stick and my tennis racket. And this can of Tab Cola. My hockey stick, my tennis racket, and this can of Tab Cola. That's all I need. I don't need nothing else. except the sandwich. My tab cola, my sandwich. The tennis racket. Yeah, the jerk. Hell yeah. It's a classic. Guess what they're gonna hear next time I'm there.
Yes, my baby made this a sad day. She made a change, to somebody else.
I think there's a vegetarian or two wandering around, man, but I don't think they're here tonight.
My baby changed into someone else.
Just remind all your vegan friends that your food poops on their food.
One thing left for me to do, and that is make some changes for myself. Oh yeah. Hey, you know what? My baby changed, y'all. She changed into someone else. Hey, ooh, my baby changed. She changed into someone else.
Oh, you got to understand, I'm not anti-vegetarian. I just think it's dumb. I try to keep things simple, man. We are omnivores. Human beings are designed to eat many different kinds of foods. So I think that we should probably eat many different kinds of foods. I know it sounds crazy. I like my veggies with bacon. You have to eat a lot of beans. Yeah, right? I love veggies with bacon. You know what I'm saying? You take you some peas and carrots and shit, and then crumble some bacon up in that shit, throw a little butter on it. Oh my God. You can hear your arteries hardening and it tastes wonderful. Veggies. Oh yeah, man. And deep fried veggies. Who doesn't like a deep fried veggie, man? French fries, deep fried zucchini sticks. Oh, God, I love fried zucchini. What else? Just all kinds of shit, man. All the deep fried veggies are good. Onion rings. Oh, so good. The bloomin' onion. Oh, dear God, I can hurt myself on them things. Fried okra, yeah. Been eating a lot of salads and noticing a healthy difference. Well, yeah, you got to have some kind of veggies in your life, man. Yeah, fried eggplant, absolutely. Yeah. Brussels sprouts are awesome. You got to have veggies, man. You got to mix it up. You can't eat the same thing all the time. That's not what humans are supposed to do. That's why we got like 9 different kinds of teeth, even if we do get them knocked out occasionally. Don't you mean face emoji me, mister. Root crops. Oh, yeah, carrots, turnips, rutabagas, all that. That's all. Beets. They come out at night. Awesome. If we were on Vaughn's, I could use the old man teeth emoji. They actually have that there. It's a little jar of teeth sitting there with some water in it. Not the boxing gloves. Chef salad. Hell yeah, man. Chef salad, Caesar salad. I even like a good grilled chicken salad, like a salad with like sliced up grilled chicken in it. That's freaking fantastic, man. Absolutely fantastic. Throw a little ranch on it. Good chicken salad with some ranch. I'm usually an Italian dressing kind of guy. But when it comes to my chicken, I like ranch on chicken. The flavors just go together. To me, anyway. Oh, hell. 11 o'clock and I'm out of fucking content. Jesus criminy, I should have loaded more videos. Hold on a minute. I'm going to see if I can do something. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Well, hell. Scrolling. Jesus criminy. Let me see what this looks like. Yeah, that ain't gonna be it. Oh my God. There's got to be something in here. Something that I can slip in. Huh. Nah, screw that. That ain't gonna work either. Oh, my goodness. Holy crud, Mr. Bean is a cartoon? I didn't know that. Wow. So much stuff. And none of it is what I'm looking for. My goodness. Well, I'm running out of scrolling. What the hell? Uh-huh. Keep scrolling. Keep going. There's got to be something here. This is craziness. All right. Huh. There we go. All right, let's try that. Never trust the fillet of fish. I clicked back over, and that's the first thing I saw. They took a nice Southern girl and turned her into a cannibal. Dang it, man. Alright, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do this. Oops. Alright. Yeah, wow. All right, let's see if this works. Ah! Damn it, man. Well, that didn't work. Huh. All right, let's see if this one will work. That one just refused to cooperate. I don't know what the hell was wrong with that web page. All right. Let's try that. Damn, it ain't letting me do that either. Well, screw it. I've freaking had enough of you people already. All right. I see monkeys. Burns. Smithers, release the hounds. Our lawyer said that wouldn't be a very good idea, sir. Blast! Bureaucratic nonsense. They have a lot of literature on edible and medicinal plants. Yeah, lots of them do. There's shitloads of information on there on edible and medicinal plants everywhere. Heck yeah, Dallas. There's plenty of information out there, man. You shouldn't have any problem finding out what wild stuff grows in your area. Sub to an online library. I didn't even know that was a thing. They have online libraries. Don't monkey with your vids. SP Library came to mind. Wow. I didn't know they had online libraries. That's crazy. A lot of city libraries are on. Now our library is like 30 feet by 30 feet. Our library ain't worth a shit. You got to drive all the way into town to find anything out that's worth something. I'm pretty sure our library used to be a gas station or some shit. Online book clubs too. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's a goofy looking building with weird windows in the front of it and shit. And it's tiny. There ain't much in it. I think I've read every book in that library that's worth reading. I'm reading this Bonanza book at the moment. Yeah, right on. See, what was the last thing I checked out? I don't remember. Can't remember the name of the book now. It was a fiction book. It was about a mass murderer. He was a serial killing mass murderer. And then he tried to mass murder the wrong guy and got himself killed. It was a pretty good book. kind of the twist at the end of the book was the guy killed him. Like, the dude went after some dude and was meaning to turn him into a victim, and the victim guy killed the mass murderer dude, right? And then, like, buried him in his basement. And when the cops came around asking if he'd seen the guy, like, the cop obviously knew that the guy had done something to him, but the cop just ended up leaving. He was like, all right, so you haven't seen him, right? And the guy's like, nope, haven't seen him. Sorry. But apparently the FBI dude had been chasing this guy for like 3 years when he finally got popped. He still had 2 servings. There you go. Fill up the empty spot. Before he goes to the Ponderosa. Yeah, right on. I was a big fan of all the Bonanza shows. I watched every one of them, I think, 100 times probably each. We bored 14 peeps into silence. Nice. Oh my goodness. All right, so let me see. Holy crap. I'm so sad. I should have downloaded more content. I should have known it wasn't going to be enough. Damn it, man. Oh, wait, I know what I'll do. Let's go look through here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is a good story. This is by John Bowden from The Hill. The woman who has accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault has been forced out of her home due to death threats, her lawyers said Tuesday. Christine Blasey Ford's lawyers told Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley in a letter that the Palo Alto University professor had been effectively forced into hiding over violent messages targeting her and her family. In the 36 hours since their story became public, Dr. Ford has received a stunning amount of support from her community and from fellow citizens across our country. At the same time, however, her worst fears have materialized, her lawyers wrote in the letter. She has been the target of vicious harassment and even death threats. As a result of these kind of threats, her family was forced to relocate out of her home. Her email has been hacked, and she has been impersonated online, the letter continued. Ford's lawyers said in the letter that she would not testify during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing set for Monday until the FBI investigates her allegations of sexual assault against Kavanaugh. Nah, bitch. Nah, bitch. It don't work that way. You don't get to jerk the FBI's chain. Republicans have been pushing for Ford to appear for the hearing next week to review her newly disclosed allegations against the Supreme Court nominee. Kavanaugh has said that he is willing to testify at the hearing. Actually, he said he's willing to testify anywhere, anytime, however it's more convenient for the people running it. So I think that tells us a lot. While Dr. Ford's life was being turned upside down, you and your staff scheduled a public hearing for her to testify at the same time as Judge Kavanaugh in front of 24 U.S. senators and national television to relive this traumatic and harrowing incident. You're goddamn right we did. And she should, publicly, in front of everybody. The hearing was scheduled for 6 short days from today, and you do understand that a lot of that I'm adding the editorial stuff there. That's not in the article by The Hill. The hearing was scheduled for 6 short days from today and would include interrogation by senators who appear to have made up their minds that she is mistaken or mixed up. They added, writing that no sexual assault survivor should be subjected to such an ordeal. What, proving your claim? Garrett Ventry, a communications advisor to Grassley, pushed back on the lawyer's assertion that Grassley scheduled the hearing expected Ford to testify at the same table as Kavanaugh, calling it false. Garrett Ventry twitters, "To be clear, this is absolutely false." Natasha Bertrand had tweeted earlier, "Wow, Blasey Ford says that Grassley scheduled the public hearing expecting her to testify at the same table as Kavanaugh. At the same table of the man she says once tried to rape her." And Garrett Ventry said, "It's absolutely false. That didn't happen. You're a liar." Just like the chick, the biatch, the leftist, liberal, lying scumbag operative who is trying to character assassinate a good person and a good judge. Kavanaugh, who was nominated to the Supreme Court in July to succeed Justice Anthony Kennedy, has denied Ford's allegations after she came forward in a Washington Post story on Sunday. Ford claims that Kavanaugh pinned her to a bed and tried to remove her clothes during a party in the early 1980s when they were both in high school. She also said that one of Kavanaugh's classmates, Mark Judge, was in the room and jumped on the pair, sending them all tumbling. Judge said on Tuesday through a lawyer that he did not remember the incident, and he refused to testify before the Judiciary Committee. The White House and President Trump have defended Kavanaugh amid the political firestorm since the allegations emerged. "I feel so badly for him that he is going through this. To be honest with you," Trump said Tuesday, "this is not a man who deserves this." So this broad's lawyers don't think that she even needs to, she doesn't have to prove her case, just, pretty much just screw Kavanaugh and move on with life. That's your plan? Brilliant. Oh, well. I can hear sick Pat. Yes. Nah, bitch. The price is wrong, bitch. Yeah, and then, but nobody on the news has talked about the 65 women that have come forth saying that he's an awesome human being and that he's good to people and that he does his job well, Almost every woman has a story about being groped in high school, right? You would think. I mean, Yeah, I mean, it's so political and it's so ridiculous, and the chick is an absolute 100% confirmed Democrat liberal operative. She is a super SJW liberal activist. She wore the pussy hat. She hated Trump, posted all over the internet how she would do anything under her power to screw Trump. And all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that no longer applies, especially after she deleted all her social media. She didn't delete it before I saw it, because as soon as I heard, I went digging. Ha. But that's okay. I think all that crap's going to come out. Alrighty. In other news, oh, come on. From My San Antonio by Dylan McGinnis. Voters elected political newcomer Pete Flores to the Texas Senate on Tuesday, flipping a Democratic district red for the first time in 139 years, and further bolstering Republican supermajority in the chamber ahead of the November elections. A retired game warden, Flores defeated former state and U.S. Rep. Pete Gallego for the Senate District 19 seat after receiving backing from some of the state's most prominent politicians, including Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and U.S. Senators John Cornyn and Ted Cruz. We conservatives are conservative in a way we make approaches. The gunfight's not over until the last shot's fired, Flores told the Express News after Gallego conceded in a phone call just before 9 p.m. After the phone call, Flores announced the last shot's been fired. In his victory speech, Flores reflected about the historic significance of his win and the job ahead. This district has not been Republican since the Reconstruction of Texas, and in September 2018, it's Republican once again. Flores told supporters, the work starts tomorrow. Flores' win marked an incredible upset in a district that political observers said shouldn't have been competitive for Republicans at all. Low turnout in special elections and high-level GOP interest in preserving a Senate supermajority helped push Flores across the line, they said. It will provide a completely unexpected gift for Republicans in the next legislative session, said Mark Jones, a professor of political science at Rice University. Jones said Flores' victory all but assured a Republican supermajority next year, which would allow Senate Republicans to bring bills to the floor without any Democratic support. Tonight, I doubt anyone other than Pete Flores is happier than Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Jones said. Indeed, Patrick was jubilant at Flores' victory party at Don Pedro's restaurant on San Antonio's southwest side. Tonight, you all just made history, Patrick told his supporters. For the first time in history, we have 21 Republican senators. For the first time in history, we have a Hispanic Republican senator. Late Tuesday, the Republican Party of Texas also touted Flores' win. Congratulations, they said, to Peter Flores on his stunning victory in Senate District 19 tonight. A thrilling win for Peter Flores, the citizens of Senate District 19, and Republicans across Texas, Chairman James Dickey said in a statement. We are confident that Senator-elect Flores will fight tenaciously for the conservative principles in the Texas Senate that have helped Texas become the best state to call home, and the state that has been awarded with the title of Best State in the Country for Businesses. Flores and Gallego emerged from an 8-candidate field in first and second place, respectively. In July's special election to replace former Senator Carlos Uresti, the longtime lawmaker vacated his seat in June after being convicted of 11 felony charges. So the Democrat, Carlos, got himself convicted of 11 felonies. More than 25,000 Texans voted in the early voting period and by mail before Tuesday. Some county election officials said they've seen higher turnout in the runoff than the special election a few months ago. Brandon Rottinghouse, well, that's a weird name. Brandon Rottinghouse, a professor of political science at the University of Houston and author of Inside Texas Politics, said that Flores' candidacy energized the state GOP leaders who saw the district as a potential steal. The Republican margin is in danger because you may have a couple of the Senate districts that could flip in November. He said if this district could flip to the Republicans, the Democrats would even have a higher hurdle to be even relevant in the state Senate. In Medina County, a line started to form at the polling location in Castroville around 4:30 p.m. Hilda Mendoza, the election judge there, said turnout was much higher than expected. This is the beginning. These are the first whiffs, the first smells of the red wave. It's coming. It started in these special elections already. It was an enormous increase from the special election across Divine, Hondo, and Castroville, Mendoza said. Voters in the heavily Republican district said they were confident Flores would win. We got to get this back to how it used to be. It's been blue for so long, said Liz DeVries of the district. It'd be nice to see it go red. Others said they didn't want to elect Gallego, who has previously represented the county as a state and U.S. representative. We've had Pete Gallego, and I wasn't happy with what he did before, Marie Rose said. Behar County Elections Administrator Jacques Callanan said that more than Jacques Callanan, excuse me. That's Jacques, not, whatever. Said that more than I didn't mean to mispronounce your name if you happen to hear this ever, which I doubt, but if you do, I didn't mean to mispronounce your name. Said more than 6,000 people had voted by 5:20 p.m., which is 2,000 votes higher than the July turnout. Including mail and early ballots, the county had received 19,368 votes, which is a turnout rate of about 6.1% with an hour and a half to go. It's relatively low, but impressive for a special election. They're voting like crazy, Callanan said. Around 6:30, as pollsters were packing up vote here signs, Jose Duran cast his ballot for Gallego. The seat was empty. You have to fill it with somebody, Duran said. He preferred Gallego because of his experience in government. Ruben Trejo, who also voted in the last hour, said the choice was simple. He's a Democrat, so he also chose Gallego. The last Republican to hold the seat was Andrew Phelps McCormick, according to the Legislative Library of Texas. He left office in 1879. So they flipped a seat in Texas. Got to love that. Don't mess with Texas. Buffer monster. Trump hat, InfoWars shirt. Saskatchewan Roughriders. Well, that sounds like some serious business. The guy's name was Rottinghouse, and it was spelled like this. Yeah, it's German. Haus house is always German. Or at least Germanic, of the Germanic language areas. I'd pay $34 for college. I'd pay $34 for college too. House is a dead giveaway. Yeah, it is. College not worth it these. Well, hell no. You're paying more than you can afford to pay to get indoctrinated with garbage leftist crap. Who the fuck would do that? And you would still be getting ripped off. Yeah, at $34, it'd still be kind of a fucking dicey deal. Like I said, man, it's probably better that I don't have my own kids, because I wouldn't have my kids in college. I'd make sure they learned how to weld or some shit. Right? Free Play-Doh, though. All right, MJ, take it easy, man. You be cool. Oh boy. Put my nephew into military school. Right on. Could have gone for free. Jesus. It's the only reason I've got any college is because I got it free. And I didn't have to go to I didn't have to attend a liberal fucking school. I was basically homeschooled. I got my college in jail. And they sent the professors down there to teach us. So the state of Ohio paid for my college. And they didn't even try to indoctrinate us with that bullshit. It was in the 90s, so I know that was going on. Right on, man. Just remember, Donald Trump came out of a military school, so, you know, can't be all bad. I failed accounting and never went back. Oh, yeah, Dallas. I got a college degree, dude. I got a 2-year degree in business. Hold on for a second. Hold on! Not right this second, no. I'm actually in the middle of a stream.
Because I know all our hours are fucked up the way we live.
Yep.
Been doing good streaming, finding shit out.
Oh, yeah. We're running right now, see?
Yeah. Looks like a puzzle to me.
Well, that's because it's, I got my headphones on the damn,
Keyboards.
yeah. There it is.
Oh, alright. Where's the new Elder Circle Church at?
It's right there. It's all online.
Oh, it's all online.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right on.
I can get back over the channel if you get too loud.
Right on, man.
Alright, have fun.
Yep.
Thanks again.
Come on, dude. Go lay down. Go on. All right, I'm back. Oh no, what? Donated enough for a wing to be built on a college in Canada I could have attended free of charge. No kidding. That's awesome. My thermometer has more degrees than all of you put together. Yeah, his name actually is Pat. The neighbor that used to let me use his internet, that's his brother. Apparently, that's 11:41. The gas station is closed. He couldn't get any cigarettes. So he came and bummed a couple of cigars off of me. They'll hold me over till tomorrow. Should have went to a trade school. Yeah, man. Oh, hell, I'm not even going to get into what I should have done. They're just hand rollies, man. It's just raw tobacco. I can't do regular cigarettes because I can't stand the smell of them. But normally if I'm smoking good cigars, I smoke the acid cigars. But I can only afford a few of them a month, so those are kind of special. I save them for special occasions. I wasted a lot of time and money doing auxiliary stuff. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, right, Donald? We could play shoulda, woulda, coulda fucking forever on my life. Jesus. I made so many bad decisions, the Bad Decision Council wanted to give me a prize, for fuck's sake. Hi, we're from the Council of Bad Decisions. And according to our data, you're the worst decision maker ever. Stayed drunk for 3 months and lost your scholarship. Oh my God, dude. Yeah, see, that's what you get, Froggy. Running around saving people and shit. Fucking jerk. Fucking running around saving people and shit. God dang it. Oh. But tornadoes are a thing. Yeah, tornadoes are a thing. They do happen. Playing PS4. Right on. All right, man. Well, it's a quarter till, so I'm going to call it because I'm fucking running out of shit to talk about and I didn't load enough content. But I'll load more video stuff for tomorrow. I'm sorry, guys. But the good news, the really good news is this.
way back. Gotta find my swampy home. Gotta find my way back. Back to the swamp where I belong. Been gone such a long time. Mama, I'm coming home. Been gone such a long time. Mama, I'm coming home. Gotta find my way back. Gotta find my Louisiana home. Gotta find my way back. Way down south where I belong. Been 10 years in prison. Mama, I'm coming home. Where the bodies in the swamp were hidden. Mama, I'm coming home. No, I took the money. I took the money and I hid it good. No, I took the money, buried it deep out in them woods. 10 years in prison. Mama, I'm coming home. Where the bodies in the swamp were hidden. Mama, I'm coming home. Gotta find my way back. Gotta find my swampy home. Gotta find my way back. Deep in the swamp where I belong. Been gone such a long time. Mama, I'm coming home. Been gone such a long time. Mama, I'm coming home. Oh yeah. Get that crawfish pie ready, Mama. And that gilly gumbo. You don't know what I've been eating.
All right, boys and girls. That'll be the end of the night. But we will see you bright and early tomorrow. Well, not bright and early. I will see you late as hell tomorrow night for another episode of this stuff. Take care, y'all. Many blessings.